But while Russia had them under their control, the Soviet Union was much more powerful. That's what I'm asking. If America takes over Greenland, Canada, Panama under Trump, he will have made America that much more powerful. Yeah, Greenland, Canada, and Panama might not be happy. I get it, but I'm simply saying he will have made the country more powerful. Sugar Nuts. Sound of a name.
What's up?
Good
It's
evening.
too sweet, by the way. How you doing?
I'm
bro?
doing. He said, "Is what? What does that say?"
It's too sweet. That sugar nuts is that's my pretend
Okay.
after Elon Musk went his hairy balls, I said I'm going to sugar nuts.
So, what do you think? Speaking of Elon, you think he's good for America? You think cutting waste, fraud, and abuse? You favor what he's doing?
I think it's great, actually. I think that the it's funny because we're in two different worlds, and a lot of people on the left, unfortunately, they still believe the mainstream media. They still listen to them, and you can see the people screaming the most. Why aren't the Republicans screaming about Doge? If it
Yeah.
was
Wait,
such
wait,
a
hold
big
on, hold
deal.
on. They are the ones that are getting fired are screaming about it. The Republicans that are not involved, just a traditional Republican, they're not screaming about Doge because they think Trump is doing the right thing. But neither.
I'm talking about the party, the Republican Party. Like you see, all the Democrat Party is flipping out over Doge.
Yeah.
They're all going, Elon, what is it? It's like they're protecting themselves from something. They're like they've done something
Well,
wrong.
I'll tell you the reason the reason the Democratic Party is screaming against Doge is because they believe Trump has some kind of sinister reason why he's firing many people from the federal government, such as okay, he fires nuclear scientists and have to rehire them back. So the fact that he fired people that we really need for safety purposes and rehired them back, I would deflect your question back at you. Why didn't the Republican Party say anything about that? Why the hell would you fire people that were part of our defense and now you got to hire them back? Is that not a fuck up?
Well, all right, so let's talk about this. The Democrat Party literally fired people for not taking the jibby jab. Okay, they fired. I know so many people. I'm here in New York City. I couldn't even go eat without a passport. Mm-hmm. Okay, couldn't even go. That's right, you couldn't fly. This is what they did to us. That was the most egregious thing I've ever seen in my life. Okay, what they did under that, and this power that they took, or under the under the Health Emergency Power Act.
What do you think? Let's go with that. During the pandemic, when the medical community is saying everybody should get jabbed, what should they do? Just ignore the medical community about this illness that nobody else knows anything about? Should they ignore the doctors?
Well, all right. So now this is a great question, because this goes to where we get our news from two different sources, and people still trust the mainstream media. I knew from day one that it was all,
What are your credentials medically?
But that's the point.
No. But what are your credentials medically?
My credentials are common sense. Yeah, it's like, how did I know? That's what I'm trying to tell people. And how did a lot of people on the right know? It has nothing to do with credentials, because they say, how did you know that it didn't come from a bat? I knew right away it didn't come from a bat.
How did you know it right away? But
it's common sense. You just got to think. When you think logically, it's like, I knew that the 51 intelligence agents lied about Hunter's laptop.
Wait a minute. In regards to the pandemic, you knew it didn't come from a bat, and you say you're thinking logically.
Correct.
Okay, so where did it come from?
Well, where did it come from? It came from the lab.
And how did you know that?
Because I know that they did something called. Do you know Agenda 21? Do you know they did a thing called Event 21? Did you ever hear about that? Event 21. They did it right here in New York City in October 2019. Before this thing popped out, they did an event. They war gamed it right here in New York City. I knew about all of this. So people that were in the know, that weren't watching the news, and they censored everybody who said anything about it. That's your first tell that when they're censored. So you talk about censorship and free speech. The left censored anyone who talked about any of this stuff.
So you do know the pandemic started under Trump, though, right?
Well, I mean, if you really want to look into it, it goes way back. I mean, this goes way back. But it's not about who it started under. All right, let's go even further. The jibby jab. It came out under Trump, correct?
Right.
Under Operation Warp Speed. How come I didn't want it? How come I didn't take it? Everybody on the left said, I wouldn't take anything that Trump put out. As soon as Trump left, everyone on the left said, go, give me it. And they freaked out and everybody had to get it. They had to take it. These are things that literally happen.
But I agree with you with the hypocrisy part. I don't disagree that they didn't want anything Trump put out, and then all of a sudden the liberals they behind. Just like with electric cars, you guys hated them until Trump and Elon got together. Now all of a sudden you guys are buying up electric cars. I mean,
no, I still hate them. I'm actually glad.
No, but you know what I'm talking about. Trump said all kinds of negative shit about electric cars. Now he's got Elon and he's on TV selling them. You did see that, right?
Listen, that's
hypocrisy. That is hypocrisy.
But it's different. And I'm not. What happened under this pandemic? This was insanity. This had nothing to do with it. This was complete insanity. So now, if it worked, this is how my mind works. Tell me if I'm crazy. Okay. You tell me if I'm crazy. Yeah. If I tell you, I'm like, dude, I want you to get this jab because I think it's going to help you, right? And you tell me, no, I you know what? I don't really want it. I don't want it. And I'm saying, all right, that's fine. I'm just trying to help you. Or vice versa. I'm telling you, don't get it because I'm trying to help you. I don't think it's going to do anything for you. And you're saying, get it. Now, in a normal society, we would both respect each other. And if it worked, what would you care if I got it? You wouldn't care because it works. So
wait. But here's the problem, though. Here's what I think you're skipping. If we're going to tell people they have a right to make their own decisions, if I have a business, let's say I own a local gas station, should I be forced to just let anybody in, whether they got jabbed or not? If my customers, I want to tell people in my gas station that I own, you can't come in here if you don't have a jab. Or if I have a restaurant, if I have a factory, should I have the right to tell unvaccinated people right now, while this is a pandemic, I don't want you in my restaurant? Should I have the right to do that?
Well, there's two ways to look at it. Do you have the right to do that? I don't think you do. But the second way is that's not even how it went down. They were being fined by the government if they let people in. I know people here in New York City that have restaurants, and they would be like, yo, you can come in, but nobody could know. And then I had other places that I would try to get in, and they were like, I can't let you in. I'm like, what? They're like, because if the government, they're coming around, they're checking it. If they find out, we're going to get fined or they're going to close us down. So that was different than somebody who owns his own restaurant or something making their own decision, which I still think is insane to even do that. Why would you be asking somebody for a paper? It doesn't make sense.
If I think, wait, hold on. The reason I'm asking you for a piece of paper is because I think your ass might be sick. No different than you was sniffling or snot was coming out of your nose, or you want to walk in without a t-shirt, or you want to walk in without, you want to walk in without shoes. If I think you are a medical risk, or you could contaminate my place of employment, I don't want you here. Just like they say, no shoes, no shirt, no service. I don't want you here if you're covered in germs.
That I agree with you. If somebody's coughing and sneezing, that's a different story. But if somebody looks healthy, and what do you care? You know what I'm saying? If they're coughing and sneezing, of course, even if there wasn't a pandemic, I don't want somebody coming to my restaurant all sweaty.
So then let me present it to you this way, because when you join the military and you go overseas, they require you get vaccinated. Are you telling me the soldiers should be able to deny being vaccinated as well?
At this point, I think that yes, and as you saw, a lot of them who got fired, who had to leave, Trump brought them back and reinstated them. But I don't think that they should be used as pincushions for any reason at all. I think that's insane. I mean, there's a lot of things, and let's just put it this way: we've had militaries for years and years and years before vaccinations were even invented. Like it's like, to me, this whole thing. And our whole medical system, it's just my opinion, of course, but it just doesn't make any sense to me anymore.
What you're telling me doesn't make any sense. Like, you started out by saying you knew things because you had common sense. Like, for instance, I see people getting vaccinated and polio or the measles goes away. I see people that refuse to get vaccinated and it starts popping back up in their communities. Does common sense tell you that them choosing not to get vaccinated may have something to do with that? Is that what your common sense might tell you?
Well, my common sense kicked in when I saw the way they handled this pandemic. Well, as soon as I saw what they did when they closed down the whole world, every government was literally going by these same crazy rules. It was the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life. I'm 61 years old. I'm probably a little older than you. All right. And I've seen so many crazy things. I've lived here through 9/11 in New York City. I've, seen all of this crazy. This was the craziest thing I've ever seen. And I saw how people reacted. I saw how governments reacted. I saw how they separated us. They were telling us that if you didn't do this, you are the problem. They literally wanted us to be unalived. I saw this.
When you see how quickly that disease or that illness or that virus, I guess it would be a virus. When you see how quick the virus died off after people started getting vaccinated worldwide, you seem surprised that everybody was in favor of the vaccine. It looks like it worked.
All right. Well, so let's. When I was here in New York City, okay, I saw Governor Cuomo freaking out. Oh, we don't have enough beds. We don't have this. We don't have that. Trump literally set up a makeshift hospital at the Jacob Javits Center, did something here in Central Park, and also put the USS Comfort. It was in the Hudson River over here on the west side. All of it. They were all empty. Nothing. The whole thing was all hysteria. Yes, were there outbreaks? Yeah. You know where the biggest outbreaks were? In the old folks' home. My governor.
The outbreaks are going to be stronger in people with marginalized immune systems.
That was something so crazy to me, and he's going to be coming up on that. These charges.
So let me ask you: are you suggesting that most of the people around the world should not have taken? You think the planet would have been better off?
I'm saying that they should have made their own decision. But what I'm also saying is, in New York City at the time, there was homeless people everywhere. It wasn't like if this was a real pandemic, they would have been unalived everywhere. There was not only
they were being unalived everywhere. I'm from Chicago. In Chicago, you couldn't hold on, hang on. In Chicago, you couldn't even book funerals because the funeral homes were overstocked with people trying to get appointments. There were bodies everywhere. They had to have. I was working in hospitals then as I do now, and they actually had morgue trucks behind the hospital because the actual morgue of the hospital couldn't hold all the bodies.
Okay, so then how do you explain the USS Comfort empty and the two makeshift hospitals that Trump built empty? But you ready for this? The Amish people in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, which isn't too far from where I am, it's maybe an hour and a half away in Pennsylvania. They never got any vaccinations. None of them ever got vaccinated, even as kids. They're the healthiest out of all the people in America.
Yeah, to me, it's like pointing to somebody who lived to be 100 that smoked every day and making it sound like, well, that shows you that tobacco is not harmful. There's going to be some extreme examples like that. I get it.
No, that's a whole community.
Okay, you can come up with a whole community of smokers that live to be past 85 too. That don't mean it's the norm or it's a good thing to do it.
No, if you come up with a whole community of smokers that are from all around the world and they just happen to be online coming into group, this is a community that live together in one community. This is the perfect test for everybody to see. But I mean, there's so many different things. So you had all of that, and then you also had this. How come everything that they said it turned out to be a lie? How come people that didn't get it, everybody's fine?
But I think what you're doing is you're selectively pulling out what you want to hear, because you're saying, how come people that didn't get vaxxed, why didn't they die? Where are all of the deaths that came from the vax? I was told myself personally by an anti-vaxxer that because I got the booster shot, I would be dead by the winter of 2021, because that's when people were going to start dropping off like flies. You realize all of the stuff the anti-vaxxers were saying, that there were going to be bodies everywhere? Why didn't that happen?
Yeah, well, I mean, listen, I wouldn't tell people that. That's like crazy to even say that to somebody. But
let me just rephrase it this way: whether the vaccine is effective or not, I don't see where so many people were being harmed by it. I've seen a lot of people dying from COVID. I don't hear the hospitals complaining about they're overrun by vaccination deaths. I'm not hearing that.
You ready? Where did they all be unalived? They were all unalived in the hospital.
What?
They were all unalived in the hospital after going through the protocol, the Fauci protocol. Everybody that I know who lost their life, it was in a hospital. I don't know anybody.
Because that's where you go when you're slowly dying of suffocation. You go to the hospital. Of course they gonna die in the hospital. You don't stay at home when you can't breathe.
That's true too. There was a lot. And you know what though? There was a lot of things that went on with that. But anyway, the point is this: it doesn't matter if how I knew. The point is, I knew. I everything that I thought was right. It didn't come from a bat. All right, wait. It didn't come from a bat. It was. I didn't need to get any jab or anything like that. Everything I knew, I didn't wear a mask. Everything that they told me, I knew. And now all the science is coming out on my side. So the real question is, and I'm not saying this to belittle anybody, but if I was the one in your shoes talking to somebody who was right, I would be like saying, "Wow, how was it that you knew all this?"
The science is not coming out to say the world would have been better off if nobody had got the jab. The science is not saying that.
Listen, we're going to find out so much. It's all coming out now as we speak. But ready for this? 51 intelligence agents that said Hunter Biden's laptop was Russian disinformation. How come I knew that was a lie instinctively?
I'm not for certain that's the case.
Of course it is. They lied about it. They all signed a letter. It was written up by Blinken and some old FBI dude. They gave him the letter. They said, we need something for Biden to talk about because this is just coming out now. And they all lied about it. It's already been admitted.
So you're going to go with what government officials admit. Or do you believe the government officials that said Trump lied about the 2020 election?
That Trump lied about it?
Yeah, all of the judges that ruled against him, members of his own administration, like Mike Pence and Attorney General Barr, do you believe them? Because they all said he lied.
Well, we're going to see how that comes out as well. All of this is going to come on. All right, so wait, do you really believe that Joe Biden got 81 million candy canes? You think Joe Biden got the most candy canes out of any president in the history of our country? Is that what you're going to tell me?
I'm going to tell you one thing. When Mike Pence and Attorney General Barr would have served a second term, it makes no sense for them to lie against their own best interests and say they lost if they actually thought they won. And Attorney General Barr was the one responsible for looking into Trump's claims of election fraud. Why would he come back and lie? That is not in his own best interest. Why would he do that?
All right, so this is a good question. This is another thing I like to do because, again, I use my own common sense. I don't really care about what anybody else says. So now, we all saw the election on that night. We saw 6 states shut down. That never happened before. It happens in Venezuela. Never happened in America. 6 states shut down. Trump was ahead in each one. And then the next morning, miraculously, Biden was winning. Did that make sense to you? Don't tell me about what you saw on the news. Did that make sense to you? Because we got to critically think.
What do you mean they shut down?
Did you watch the election in 2020?
Yeah, I was watching it when it happened.
So every state shut down at the same time. They said, "Oh, we can't count no more." They stopped counting. 6 states. I can tell you the states. It was Georgia. It was Michigan. It was Wisconsin. It was what the hell else was it? Michigan, Pennsylvania. And one other state, Arizona, maybe. I can't remember offhand. But there were 6 states that shut down. Okay. So after they shut down, the next morning, all of a sudden, miraculously, Trump was his lead. He was leading in every one of the states. Then all of a sudden, Biden was winning in each state.
Let's go with what you're saying. Let's say I'm not even going to push back. Let's say everything you just said is true. The issue is this. Just because something looks suspicious, as you're pointing out, that don't give Trump the right to jump up and say I won by a landslide. Why is he saying he won by a landslide? If you want to point out this doesn't look right, why didn't they just stop counting when I was ahead? You can go and demand that they explain that. You don't get to just jump up and yell and I won by a landslide. Why is he doing that?
Well, he's doing that to bring.
That ain't how you do it. You don't get information or correction on one lie by making up your own. That's what you're telling me. Is he lied to get them? He actually lied himself to draw attention to another lie.
Well, no, he's not lying.
Where's the evidence?
Well, I just said
that is not. When you tell me they stopped counting and then all of a sudden they started counting again, Trump was ahead. That is not evidence that he won by a landslide. That's not evidence. That is something that looks suspicious. Like if you leave your door unlocked, or if you go to work and you come home and your door is wide open, that looks suspicious. That don't mean somebody actually broke in your house. You may have left it open. So you can't just jump up and say somebody is in there. That's Trump made these claims. Okay, that looks suspicious. Then let's investigate it. You don't just jump up and say you won.
Well, this is what the way I see it. When I see things that don't happen and it's like it's not making sense, I hear what you're saying. And what you're saying makes perfect sense to me too. You know, that would be one way to think of it. I think of it different. I'd look at it and say, my God, how corrupt is this country? I'm looking at this saying the corruption is so
how do you feel about the fake electors that were trying to help him win? They all pled guilty. Do you hope is that corrupt?
No, that's something that I can't even get into it right now. But
you can get into that. You got into the last part. Why all of a sudden are we running into a dead end? You can't get into something now.
All right. You know what? I'm not even gonna. I'll just say.
I know.
But this is what I want to get into because we started off with.
I gotta move on. I'll give you real quickly. Go ahead.
All right, I'm gonna end it here. I really appreciate you, brother. I was with you on Lumberjack, and you were doing. I was with you. No, and I'm gonna tell you something. You are gonna come around, man. I'm telling you because I love the you're so open-minded, and you got a really good way about you.
You want me to come around? Give me evidence. You don't just jump up and yell. You won by a landslide.
I'm not gonna. You're gonna figure it out because you're a smart man. You're gonna figure it out just the way we all did. I'm telling you.
Well, I'll tell you something. He's in charge of the Senate. He's in charge of Congress. He got the Supreme Court on his side. Why the hell ain't he proving his theories? He ain't even talking about the 2020 election anymore. Why ain't he proving that shit? The same with the Haitian migrants eating dogs. You in control. Why don't you prove some of the stuff? He also said that Obama wiretapped his office during the first term. Why the hell ain't he proving some of this stuff?
That's already been proven.
No, he didn't prove it. He said it and moved on. He didn't prove that.
No, they proved that already.
No,
they know that already.
So he proved that.
That was from 2016. That's already been done.
He proved that Obama wiretapped his office, and as president, he decided to do nothing about it.
The whole system is. This is what I'm saying. I've been disappointed for so many years.
That ain't what I asked you. You're telling me he proved.
You can't do nothing about it when the system's corrupt. Look at who's been in there. We just found out Comey, Strzok, the whole FBI. We saw 51 intelligence agents literally lie.
I thought wasn't he going to drain the swamp? Why are you telling me in 2025?
He's gonna, but the swamp was a lot bigger than anybody thought. We are gonna drain this thing, believe me. And right now, as long as you keep an open mind, the truth is going to be coming out, and that's what I love about you, brother. You have an open mind, and you're going to figure it out on your own. What a great time. We'll do this again soon.
Always a pleasure. My door's always open. Good talk, man. Good talk. Appreciate it. Moving on with the program. And by the way, folks, you don't have to agree with the host. I think I just demonstrated that. We don't block, ban, or censor anyone for their commentary. We are indeed MAGA friendly, as I always say. Nevertheless, liberals are welcome on the program as well. If you enjoy civilized dialogue from all sides of the aisle, congratulations, you're in the right place. I'd implore you to follow the program on TikTok, Instagram, and subscription on YouTube, if you will. Real quick, I want to make sure I didn't miss any super chats now that I've reset my YouTube live. Months and many clinical trials went by between Trump sheepishly announcing the jab and Biden pushing it out. That's the difference. Yeah, I have yet to see any of the wild claims of how dangerous the jab was come to fruition. And the right was making it sound like it was straight poison. Like people were just dropping all over the damn place. None of that stuff, none of that was validated. Now, folks are going to say, well, the jab didn't stop anything. You didn't need to take it. We can debate that, but I can tell you one thing. All of the deaths that people were claiming that were going to come from the jab didn't happen. Didn't happen. I have not heard of any hospital that's overrun by people that are passing away from getting jabbed or even getting sick. So the right made up all kinds of claims of how bad the jab was and all of that shit. And I mean, how many years has it been now? And yeah, I don't know anybody that's, I mean, you can find somebody that lost their life from taking aspirin. There are some, everything has side effects. But in terms of the jab, overall, it's just not, it just doesn't appear to be anywhere near as harmful as the right might make it sound.
We did a great job on that. The ventilators, the equipment that we got, the cupboards were all bare, everything that we did. And then we developed a vaccine, 3 vaccines in 3 months, in 9 months. And actually, I'll tell you, it was 3 days less 3 days less than 9 months. And it's great. And you know what? I believe totally in your freedoms. I do. You got to do what you have to do. But I recommend take the vaccines. I did it. It's good. Take the vaccines. But you got, no, that's okay. That's all right. You got your freedoms. But I happen to take the vaccine. If it doesn't work, you'll be the first to know, okay? I'll call.
And he's still doing very well into his 80s now. So there you go. That is our commander-in-chief advising you to take that shit. All right, looking in the comments, though, before I continue on, with Trump talking out of both sides of his mouth, or out of his mother, talking out of both sides of his mouth about a hoax and a jab, of people are going to hold off on taking anything he says seriously. That's a great point. And that's what I said. The reason why there's such a big issue about the jab is Trump did indeed exactly what Will just said. He was talking out of both sides of his mouth. Trump was planning on running for re-election in 2020, and he was going to run on a good economy. And he knew that if he listened to the medical professionals and shut every damn thing down, it would hurt his economy. But at the same time, he wanted to listen to the medical professionals to try to save lives, because you don't want that on your resume either. So he's trying to tell people to keep everything open and take the vax simultaneously, which is a definition of talking out of both sides of your mouth, because you can't keep everything open if you're going to actually listen to what the medical professionals are saying, which is take the vaccine and self-isolate. And to this day, Trump supporters still have a very mixed message on how to deal with the vax. You get outside of the MAGA, outside of the Trump circle, and the rest of the people, and I'm talking about on earth down there, they're all fairly unified on what they think about the vax. It's predominantly Trump supporters that have this, some okay, some don't. And my analysis is this, maybe I'm wrong in this, but from because I talk to a lot of Trump supporters, I have a decent data sample. The more educated, the more likely they are to get jabbed. The less educated, the more likely they are to push back. That's from what I've seen. I'm talking about MAGA. I'm not talking about educated or uneducated liberals or independent. I'm talking about strictly among the MAGA crowd. The more educated a Trump supporter is, the more likely they have gotten the jab. All of Trump's family got it. They got it before they were telling you to get it. None of them folks were waiting to get the damn jab. The minute the medical community was saying the jab is good for you and you need it, it'll help prevent you from getting COVID, they were all getting it. They were all getting it immediately. And I'll tell you this, among Trump supporters, the wealthy, when you could barely get your hands on the vaccine because there was so few vials, they were paying for it. They were willing to pay extra money to get ahead of the line and get it. Trump supporters were doing this. But like I said, the higher the education level, the more they were likely to get it. People who have a major issue with it are the lower educated folks, backwoods folks, so to speak. Looking in the comments, though, by the way, I was getting boosters processing out of the military as people were still in the fight not to get the jab. Yeah, for you military folks, did you have to get the COVID vax to remain inside? I think you did, didn't you? I'd like to know, because I don't know. I don't know if any of you guys were serving back then. That's only been like 4 years ago. My guy sounds like a Brighton Beach, Jersey Shore Italian. Italians were heavy on Trump, hence the mob lies. I wish I'd have read that when he was on here. I didn't know if he sounded like an Italian in the mob. Wow. All right, going back to the box. I think they got a refund on it if they got fired for getting I think some folks did. But folks who were terminated for not getting the jab, I think some of them did get back pay and got their gigs back or something like that. That's likely to happen. I'll tell you this, if Trump serves the full term and then he is replaced by a liberal, that is likely to happen to federal employees. It would not surprise me if there was because under a liberal government, they're going to rule that a lot of Trump's firings are illegal. It would not surprise me if a whole lot of federal employees that got terminated under Trump end up getting their jobs and back pay if a liberal precedes Trump. Because I don't think it's a hard case to make for a lot of them that the firing that they received was illegal. Certainly when they got it in writing that the person is saying it was for performance and the person has never had a performance eval. There is no history of anybody sitting down and giving them an evaluation, or they can show where they just had an evaluation recently and it showed they were a stellar employee, and next thing you know, they're getting fired for performance. I really could see that if a liberal replaces Trump, the federal government having to pay out a lot of money for all of them people they terminate. Looking in the comments though, I'll go straight over to Sherbert on Instagram. We are on Instagram too, by the way. I did want to bring up one of my Instagrams before we continue on. Thank you for the subscription, user guy. Do appreciate that. Certainly, thank you for your support on the show. Sherbert, good evening. Hey, what's up?
We get into a little quieter spot.
Now we're talking about the possibility. Because remember, one of Trump's accolades was we didn't have any new wars under him. But with him talking about taking over Greenland, Canada, Panama, deeming the Mexicans Mexican cartel as terrorists, could you see the possibility of us going into a war under Trump?
Oh, 100%. We were getting into wars with Syria and everybody else while he was in his first term. So the no new wars is utter horseshit.
Well, he did launch 59 Tomahawks at Syria, but that wasn't a war. So, it wasn't, I guess you would say it was an act of war. But,
Well, Tim, we haven't been in an official war except for Iraq since World War II.
Afghanistan.
So it's all horseshit.
Afghanistan.
Other than Afghanistan, we haven't been in an official war since World War II. So it's all horseshit.
You don't see Vietnam as an official war?
No, that was police action.
Oh.
That's why it was a Cold War, because it wasn't actually a hot war.
Okay, I can't speak on the technical. Okay, that's a technical aspect of it. So you're saying that, but
Technicalities matter, Tim.
yeah, I guess to some degree. But Trump using military action, you do see that from a standpoint of trying to expand the size of the United States.
I mean, it's going to happen. He wants control.
Do you think it'll be a good thing?
No. Why would we want to be the dictators? I don't like bullies, Tim, and he's the biggest bully.
Well, some would agree that he's a bully, but some also believe that we need a bully in charge to make this country more respected on the world stage.
No, the world is laughing at us. Like how the other night we had a lady from England on and saying that the world is laughing at us. No, I'm tired of being the laughing stock of the world.
I was told the world was laughing at us under Biden.
Horseshit. It's the same people like this last guy that called you that, go off feelings versus what the actual world is saying. Maybe the dictators are laughing at us.
Yeah.
But I don't like bullies.
Where do you see Trump being a bully? I mean, some would suggest he's just trying to make the country better. What
are you fucking kidding me?
I wouldn't ask.
Are you fucking kidding me? He bullies everybody. He's bullying CNN right now and saying that they're illegal because they were going against Eileen Cannon.
Yeah, I have heard them say that. Do you think, because that sounds to me like a threat on free speech. Can you see that also under him?
Oh, 100%. First Amendment's going away if he stays in.
Why is it that you see this and so many people don't?
Well, the last guy wouldn't even say anything bad about COVID and that, the proper documentation. Of course they don't see it. Yeah. The last guy was the perfect example of Q-mind.
Wait.
And then you wonder why nobody sees it?
You said the last guy was the perfect example of what?
Q-mind.
QAnon? You're talking about QAnon?
Yeah.
Well,
QAnon-minded.
Yeah, he definitely has some. He definitely has some Q in him. I can see them. We said we go left of Bernie Sanders, so I'm having dinner with Q. I think I just had a little bit of dinner there. So yeah, I can see a little bit of that.
I was in hospitals during COVID. There were people being wheeled out all the time. Those freezer trucks are being dropped off at every hospital.
I was actually setting up the beds. I had to go into intensive care rooms because I was setting up the air beds. I had a job setting up the air beds. So when your lungs are taking on fluid, they lay you on your stomach, and they had a mattress that was made out of kind of like an air mattress. But that was the way they would help prolong your life, is put you on your stomach when your lungs were starting to fill up with that fluid from COVID. And I was setting those beds up, and you had to go in there literally dressed like an astronaut, covered from head to toe. So I know personally how, and I was dealing with like 7 or 8 different hospitals in my area, and I know personally how the intensive care units were running out of rooms to put people in because there was so many folks getting it.
Wasn't that a vaccine mandate? Wasn't that mostly for people that work in hospitals and work in the public and the police? You know, the people that are most likely to spread the disease.
Well, employers were able
to. It wasn't for Walmart. It sure as fuck wasn't for Walmart. It was for the federal employees. So, and the hospital staff, the people that could actually spread this.
Yeah.
Oh, I've got got measles in me. I better go see 23 patients.
Yeah, but what he is saying is that the hospitals, if you worked in civil service, your employer, the government had no right to force you to take a jab if you didn't want it. That's what he was trying to say.
Yeah, they did. That's why we were trying to save lives.
Well, I think
it doesn't matter what your opinion is. If you work with children, you can't have the measles. You can't have COVID. You have to be able to try and save these lives. The best practices to avoid death. But my free will has been taken away from me. How dare they?
Well, but they're going to counter and say, how the hell can women say my body, my choice, but somebody who wanted to reject a jab can't say the same thing?
Because you're not hurting like 50 to 100 people by possibly getting them killed. It's one person and it's inside their body.
Yeah, but let me put on my MAGA hat and take the other side of this. If you've been, I gotta be able to, because I like to be able to see the other side, and I think MAGA has a point here. If you've had your jab, why the hell should you care about me coming around or not? If you've been vaccinated, you're okay, right? So why are you up in my business?
Because I worry about all the children. I worry about the immunocompromised people. I worry about everyone else, not just myself.
Didn't get your child jabbed.
Cool, but what about all these people that are immunosuppressed? What about these elderly? What about the infants that you can't give them the jab?
They can get it from anything. Well, if you are immunosuppressed during the pandemic, jab or not, you probably should be out in public in limited varieties. You probably shouldn't be in public places anyway if you're that concerned.
Probably, but people are just contrarians. A lot of these people that are anti-vax, they just don't like anybody telling them what to do.
Well, I also
having people not die. It doesn't matter if you don't like being told what to do. You can't go around killing people inadvertently.
Well, in their defense, they also thought the vax was harmful too, though. It wasn't just a matter of freedom. They thought, listen, this has only been out for this length of time. You rushed this vax. You haven't had a decent data sample. How the hell do I know this vax ain't worse than the actual virus? You haven't had enough people to test it on.
But there's enough people like the last caller that didn't believe in anything, so it didn't really matter.
Yeah.
But either way, Tim, let's get back to current topics. I just saw the press conference with Trump saying that all of these other news outlets are doing illegal shit because they're talking bad about me.
Yeah.
We're so much closer to the dictatorship than anyone was talking about before the election.
Yeah.
And it's so surprising as people won't even look at it. I wrote you a message on Instagram of these people are asleep because they keep hitting the snooze on their alarm clock instead of being woke.
Something, when he starts talking about networks that are critical of him are committing crimes, yeah, at that point the writing's on the wall. I can normally see both sides of an issue. There is no other side to that. A news organization is committing a crime by saying something that's not favorable to you. If a news organization defamed you, like Dominion voting machines switch votes to Biden, for instance, that's a civil case, but it's not. When you start talking about potentially jailing people, no, I don't. Yeah, that is entering the realm of a dictatorship.
Well, they're also cable. They're not controlled by the FCC. Yeah. So he literally has no say in anything other than I don't like you.
And what's particularly
going off on Biden so hard on everything, calling him basically retarded.
Yeah. What's
And
particularly
no problem, but people say, sorry.
You're breaking up. You're breaking up real bad. What's particularly concerning about Trump saying that networks reporting negative stuff on him as committing a crime is the sheer amount of people and groups that he has said false negative stuff about. The Haitian migrants, for instance, talking about people stealing the election. So it's crazy that if you say something about him, it's illegal or wrong when he says so many things about so many groups of people that are inaccurate. And folks just say, well, you know, that's how he talks. So he's a really bad messenger for that.
Well, you know what it is? It's the two-tier justice system that they wouldn't shut up about. This is it. This is what they were projecting out on us because this is what they wanted.
Why isn't the right speaking up in regards to free speech? Why isn't the right saying anything?
Your leader said don't.
But
if you're in the cult, you're going to drink the Kool-Aid, Tim. It doesn't matter if that Kool-Aid's going to kill you.
Yeah. Because
all
eventually
these people that are getting fired and speaking up at all these town halls, they're not in the cult. They might have been, but they didn't drink the Kool-Aid. They're not trying to poison themselves. And so there's a certain percentage that just won't listen to anything. Like that last caller, I just go off my gut. I know everything. I'm always right. You know, I knew that this came from a bat. I knew it, and I was right.
Yeah, it was a tad interesting. I enjoyed talking to him, but yeah, that was a tad interesting when he started talking about he knew more than the medical professionals on how COVID came about. But yeah, you get people like that. I don't have any answer for that. I mean, you do get people like that.
I'm so concerned. I'm so concerned for how our system's going to run. And gangster grandma may be very venomous as she's talking, but she's not wrong.
4 years of Trump. Do you think that 4 years of Trump?
We're gonna kick a president out after the midterms. I think there's gonna be a supermajority the other way, and then I forget which amendment it is. I think the 14th. But we're gonna kick somebody out at this point when he's literally destroyed the economy, destroying our relationship with the rest of the world.
Wait. You believe? Wow! Now you're the first I've ever heard to say this. You believe that during the midterms, Trump is going to lose so bad that we'll get a supermajority in Congress and the Senate, and they're going to kick him out, but he won't do his full term. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what's going to happen these days because he's going so hard, harder than anyone has ever gone at this country.
I don't know if I believe that.
But they have never tried to purposely destroy the system.
I don't know if I believe it. I see in the comments somebody says, I got $50 saying the Dems won't get a supermajority. Yeah, I don't know about that one, Sugar. Huh?
There's no way we don't. After all these pissed off veterans and all these farmers and all these people losing their livelihoods, if people can't afford one $500, emergency, then how are they going to be able to afford 2 years of having their shit rocked?
I gotta agree with the viewer. Pop Onaya Shelley? I'll just say this. If I had a nickel for every time somebody said Trump wasn't going to do the unthinkable and he successfully did it, I was one of the ones on here talking about the guy got 90-something indictments. The feds have a 96% conviction rate. There's no way he's going to escape all of these. And look what happened. So the same thing when it came to rolling back Roe v. Hang on. Same thing when it came to rolling back Roe v. Wade. Oh, the women are really going to show up now. And look what the hell, he won the women's vote. Or when he started talking about, deporting every damn body, well, the Hispanics are going to kill him now, and he won the Hispanic male vote. I'm with my caller, my viewer, who said that Trump is not going, the Democrats are not going to get a supermajority. That guy is Superman.
I can hope, Tim. I can hope. I got to have hopes and dreams for something.
So at some point you got to wake up. I mean, listen, there are people on death.
You're going to talk about being awake for me? You're going to talk about being woke to me? And all these idiots that are keeping their eyes closed?
Let me put it this way.
What are you talking about?
There are people on death row right now that got hopes and dreams, but when they sticking the needle in your hand and you hear the phone, the governor say we're denying the pardon, like shit, at some point your hopes and dreams got to go away. Trump is winning over and over and over again.
Yeah, but by my gut feeling about the 14th Amendment happening, it's about equal that we're probably going to have a civil war. And I would much rather we have the 14th Amendment being enacted versus going into a civil war. And so I'm hoping,
what about as opposed to
the more worse ideas?
As
they're about equal in what's going to happen in my head.
Okay, as opposed to having an op between a civil war or President Trump getting kicked out of office, how about he just loses in the midterms and becomes a lame duck for the last 2 years?
No, he still has too much power at that point. He's still going to try and destroy everything. If he's going to say, he's never met Eileen Cannon, he's never talked to Eileen Cannon, but then he's the one that got her into the federal lifetime appointment.
Yeah.
He doesn't care about anything. He's a liar. And maybe one day these people will actually wake up to the fact he's a narcissistic sociopath. And the same, we go over all the list of the fascists point by point, and he hits every single one of them. He also hits every single point of the narcissist.
I don't think even MAGA would deny
Maybe people understand.
Yeah, I don't even think MAGA would deny he's a narcissist. They don't agree he's a fascist, but I think everybody would agree he's a narcissist. I got to move it on, though, Sherbert. I'll let you get back to what you're doing. But yeah, Civil War or the 14th Amendment. That's all we got.
That's what I imagine is going to happen. I could easily be wrong, but I think that's what's going to happen.
I'm hoping you're wrong, man, on both of those. I mean, both of those could be pretty, because I think if they kick Trump out, you're going to get civil war. If they fuck with Trump before he gets his 4 years completed, the right is going to be threatening civil war no matter what.
I mean, it's the same thing as the Luigis.
Yeah, but they got all
the... You can only fuck with people for so long.
Yeah. I'm hearing they the ones that got all the guns, though.
Yeah, it might be true, but we'll find out.
That's a bad case of FAFO. All right. Appreciate it, Sherbert. Good talk.
Good night.
You too. All right, moving on with the program. And thank you folks that are tapping the screen. Get the likes on up to about 35,000. We can make that happen. Caller is on point, says Bandito. So Bandito did favor the conversation with Sherbert there. Thank you, Bandito, for your support. And Bandito also says Trump will get impeached. 100% certain of that, Bandito. You think Trump will get impeached? Well, so let me say it this way. If the Dems win in the midterms, I won't say 100%, but I would say it's highly likely that they will impeach President Trump. But that doesn't necessarily mean he's going to get kicked out of office. He's been impeached twice right now. He's already been impeached twice. And at this point, he's probably the most powerful president we've ever had. So, obviously, Bill Clinton got impeached. Getting impeached ain't the end of the world. And from what we can tell, impeaching Trump actually makes Trump supporters that much more galvanized. It actually makes them like him more. So we'll see. Looking at the comments, soldiers are now drone operators. Yeah, there's a movie out with Russell Crowe, I think it is, about soldiers being drawn up. There's a lot of that, though. Only because the Senate didn't confirm. Yeah, well, if he wins both the House and Senate, you would expect the Democratic Senate to confirm. But when you got Chuck Schumer voting because remember, the Democrats just had a chance to shut the government down. They also had a chance to vote against Al Green being censored. There's a lot of Democrats that behind the scenes seem to be getting calls from the Republican Party. So I don't know. Even if the Democrats won the House and Senate, somebody send me something on Instagram. Thank you for that thumbs up. First time I've ever seen that. Appreciate that. I don't know for certain, even if the Democrats win the House and Senate, if you can depend on them to have that kind of unity, because they're showing all sorts of breaks and cracks right now. Not to mention when you got Elon Musk making it clear he's willing to spend tons of money to primary people and things like that. Well, he might also be willing to spend tons of money to buy Democratic politicians. That's the benefit of Elon, is that while he is acting on behalf of the Trump administration, he is officially not in a position where he has to follow a lot of the rules because he wasn't voted in, wasn't affirmed by the House or Senate. So he can still run businesses, buy people off, and all of that. So if you got a new Democratic congressman or a Democratic congressman or a woman that can be bought off, and he shows up and he's willing to funnel a few $1,000,000 into their hand, all they do is need to side with the Republicans on this vote or that other vote. I wouldn't be surprised if The Democrats were not as unified, suddenly, as people think they would be. Up to and including impeaching Trump. All of a sudden, a few Democrats are like, I'm against it. It's wrong for the country. The man won. Let him serve his 4 years. Wouldn't surprise me if they go Senator Menendez on you, if you know what I'm talking about. Clarence Thomas is another one that you can buy off. Looking in the comments real quick, my American allies think about it by 2029, you can vote for Vance for president too. Well, Trump has already claimed Vance is not going to be a successor. I think Trump might be more favorable putting Don Jr. in there. Going back to the box though, Mike. Good evening, Mike. Now I'm assuming tonight I have not been fluffing. Am I correct, Mike?
I haven't heard any fluffing at this point.
Okay, we're on the right side of the law now.
But it's early. It's early. It's early.
So what do you think? Do you think there's a possibility we could end up seeing a new war under Trump with him talking about Greenland, Panama, Canada, and now even Mexico? I mean, I played clips in the beginning of the program, but within the last 48 hours or so, he's talked about taking all of those countries.
Oh, 100%. I don't even, I don't even think it's an if. I just think it's literally a win.
What do you mean?
When is going to happen?
Oh, you mean WHEN? So you do feel like it's just a matter of when he's going to do it?
100%. I mean, Tim, it belies logic to think that it can't happen when everything he says. See, all of his supporters think it's a game. It's not a game. So when you're saying these things to these countries, they're not taking it that way anymore.
No, they're not. But why would people, I've had people tell me that constantly, that when Trump talked about taking Greenland and things like that, he's just joking. He keeps saying it over and over again. So why won't they admit that he probably means it? I mean, look, no joke. You can't keep telling the same joke to the same audience over and over again. At some point, that joke is going to bomb. Why do people think this is a joke when he's constantly saying it?
Because, the one thing you haven't heard me say, and correct me if I'm wrong, the one thing, I try not to insult anybody's intelligence. But at the same time, Trump said he likes poorly educated voters. And so they're not putting any thought into it. They're just taking them at face value when the rest of the world and the people that are against Trump, like myself, I'm looking at it for what it is. I'm looking at the dots connecting. When he says he wants to take Greenland, and Greenland turns around and has an election that they thought was going to go the other way, and then they get the surprisingly democratic result out of the election, that's a clear indication that they're not taking it as a joke.
Yeah.
It's a clear indication.
Yeah, I got a caller that calls in the program, occasionally. He lives in Greenland, and he said the same thing. And also, Trump is also suggesting that he's not for sure, because, Denmark is the country that, Greenland is like a territory of Denmark or whatever. Trump is saying he's not even sure that that's valid. So he's already talking like, well, Denmark, your claims to Greenland, and we don't even recognize that.
Right, because, he's not going to recognize anything that he doesn't want, Tim. It's just like the idea that you can talk about taking Greenland and then turn around and ask Denmark for eggs. I don't know if you know about that.
Yeah, I heard about it. I have heard about it.
So you want to take a country and then turn around and ask them for a fucking favor. This shit is absurd, but it's real and it's happening in real time. And his supporters, they're going to learn the hard way. And the sad part is we're all going to learn.
But the thing about it is I understand why Trump is doing it, because it's working. I mean, people might want to say he's a bully or he does things a little unorthodox, but can you hate on somebody that's doing things that are working? I mean, all of this stuff is Denmark may give them the damn eggs.
Well, here's the thing. Number one, define working, just like define winning. Because when I'm looking at these Republican town halls, it doesn't look like it's working.
I'll define working. If I say I'm going to do something and I get to do what I said I was going to, yeah, some people are angry about it. So what? People have been angry about what I'm doing my entire time in politics. The liberals hate me. The rhinos hate me. That's what they're going to say. So we can talk about how things are going at town halls, But nevertheless, he is getting done what he wants to do.
Again, so you and I are about to have the same conversation we had about winning and about working. If I'm saying I'm going to get something done in the manner in which, because the manner in which you do it matters too. Am I correct?
Not in this era. I don't know. I don't know if I feel confident about that one.
If you're just looking at the end result, then I would say yes. But if you're saying that I'm going to go out and get $100, and you come back with $100, and I say, okay, you got $100, but then I find out that you went out there and snatched an old lady's purse to get $100, it's kind of a little different, Tim.
Well, that's like saying if you say you're going to reduce spending in government, and then you find out I fired 100,000 Americans to do it. I mean, that's similar to snatching a lady's purse, in my opinion. Them are hurting Americans you're doing. People don't care about the lady losing her purse. They don't care about Americans that are dealing with hardships that are being fired. People are cheering on the $100. They don't give a fuck about the lady that got robbed. People are cheering on the saving of government waste, fraud, and abuse. They don't give a damn about all these Americans that are losing their jobs, their livelihoods, their career. They don't care.
And because they don't care, and I'm not even disagreeing with you. What I'm saying is we are supposed to care. We're supposed to care. We're supposed to at least give the appearance that we care. Not the voters. I'm talking about the leaders. We're supposed to at least act like we care. We're supposed to at least act like we're not fleecing America. We're supposed to act like, but see, here's the thing. I'm going to give you a perfect example. We were just having this debate last week about DJ Daniels when they were saying the Democrats didn't stand up and cheer for him, right?
Okay. That little kid, yeah.
The little kid with that had the brain cancer and all that. And I told you it was bullshit then. Didn't I tell you that?
Well, you're pointing to the fact that the Republicans have withdrew aid that might help kids like that with cancer.
Yes, I'm talking about that too. But I'm also talking about the 10-year-old girl that just got deported. She's a U.S. citizen. She was born here, but her parents weren't. She got deported back to Mexico, and she's battling brain cancer. She was coming back to an appointment, and they deported her ass. So like I told you last week, Tim, it was a show because if we cared, that wouldn't happen.
Yeah. 100% agree with that.
That didn't age well, did it? That didn't age well, did it?
Well, it aged well because the people that were complaining about the Democrats not standing up for a kid with cancer, most of them don't even know about the one that got deported because right-wing media is not going to show that.
Exactly. And then Trump, what did he say today? He started calling it to be illegal for right? I mean, Tim, this is all fascism. I've been telling you this for months now.
Dozens of you have been telling me this. But at the same time, I mean, what do we do? Do you agree with what Sherbert said? Is that we're going to have to it's going to lead to a supermajority in the midterms, and they're going to get rid of Trump? Do you believe there's any validity to that?
I mean, I hear what he's saying. I don't know, and the reason I can say that is because I don't know what these people are thinking, Tim. I don't know what's going to happen.
They're thinking about fucking winning. They're thinking about winning at all costs, just like with the federal government employee example I told you. They don't care about the suffering and shit. The goal is to win, stick it to the libs, and celebrate in the end zone. They don't. That's all. The rest don't matter.
No, the only thing that we have left, honestly, and as far as I'm concerned, the only thing we have left is the courts. The only securities we have is the federal courts. And is the Supreme Court going to bend to his will so much that they literally ignore the Constitution, right? For example, Judge Chutkin is ordering Elon to turn over. I don't know if you've read it. I've read it. She's bring your ass to court and show me your findings about all of this.
Ain't nothing gonna come out of that. Ain't nothing gonna come out of that because all of that waste, fraud, and abuse, a lot of that shit's fictional. I mean, if they tell him, it's like it's like you don't use the calculator on the math test. Teacher come up and say, "Show me your work." I don't have shit to show you because I use the. I mean, he ain't gonna be able to show his work on how he came up with all that waste, fraud, and abuse. He just not. I mean, that chainsaw is a perfect. I just took a chainsaw and started cutting shit. I didn't really look into any real waste, fraud, and abuse. I just said, spin the bottle, it landed on student aid, cut it. It landed on the Department of Education, cut it. I mean, yeah, he ain't gonna be able to prove that stuff.
Right. So is he going to defy a court order and not show up? Right. That's number one. Number two, if he goes to court, and I've read the details she's looking for is exactly what I would expect that she would ask for from an audit perspective. And I told you, I've done audits for 12 years of my lifetime, these detailed audits. When you look at the detail that she's asking for, that's what I would expect to ask for.
That judge is going to be a threat to the United States, unpatriotic, and all that shit before that court. I mean, they're going to start really going after that judge. All over right-wing media and things like that. It's an activist judge trying to work for the libs. It'll be stuff like that. Elon cannot prove all of the waste, fraud, and abuse, because this is why I've been saying on my program for everybody that's celebrating Elon and talking about why the hell would you be more critical of Elon than the people who are actually committing fraud, waste, and abuse in this government? Because the people he's claiming that are wasteful, fraudulent, and abusive aren't all true. I mean, he's making a lot of it up. So, yeah, I don't see that. I don't see that going well. I see Trump getting involved and them just attacking that judge.
Well, yeah, because that's what they do. But my question is, can you hear me?
Yeah.
But my question is this to you. It's not going to stop the court process. They can threaten her all she wants, but that's the only thing stopping them from implementing this fascist white Christian nationalist agenda. That's the only thing stopping it, right? Because at the end of the day, but see, that's what Biden did before he left, when he put in all those federal judges.
Yeah, but the thing about it is that's a lot of that stuff is at the lower court level. I mean, Trump's going to take everything he loses to the Supreme Court. Everything. I don't care what he's trying to do. I don't care if he's trying to, even if he was trying to get rid of Black Lives Matter Plaza, which he successfully did. But even if the courts had to stop that, he would have took it to the Supreme Court. He literally sees the Supreme Court like refuge. He's taking everything to them.
Right. And Comey Barrett already showed it may not be as simple as he thinks. That's number one.
Yeah, she's a rhino now. She's a rhino now.
Right. Yeah.
A DEI hire.
A DEI hire. And the crazy and I know. And her sister was getting bomb threats the other day, boom boom threats. You know that, right?
That's what makes, but that is what makes Trump so successful, is that going against him can be a threat to your life. And that's what a lot of folks, as opposed to maybe doing what they thought they should do, don't want to fuck with it. Like Mitt Romney and some of them folks, like I'm too old to be dealing with people threatening to come to my house and blow shit up. I'm just out of it. And I think that gives Trump even more power, because people know that if you go against Trump, you're going to have to deal with a million MAGA maniacs threatening to come get you.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, either you stand for democracy or you're a Trump loyalist. There's no middle ground anymore. And by the way, because me and Stevie D were going back and forth in the comments real quick. Stevie D, again, I look at these reports every single day. You think eggs are going down? Eggs are not going down, my guy. You might see some cheaper prices today, but if you're not looking at the forecast, you don't have a clue what's going on. This is what I do for a living, my guy. So next week, talk to me about them eggs, because there's a whole bunch of different stuff. But anyway,
I'm hearing, but in regards to what Stevie D is saying, though, I am hearing that the price of eggs and the barrel of oil are going down. I'm hearing that some of the he claims inflation too. They are saying that.
I know what they're saying, but they also say, I mean, let's talk about all this shit they say. I mean, come on now. It's not about what they say.
But would you give him credit? Let's make sure there's no Trump derangement sitting floating around. Would you give him credit if the price of fuel dropped down 50 cents a gallon? Would you give Trump credit for that?
I would have to understand why it went down. See, that's the thing. I'm not talking about whether it's him or not. I'm always combating what they're saying. If it's because of legislation, but here's the thing, Tim. He has no legislation. What legislation has he done that would have the oil go down?
Drill, baby, drill. Drill, baby, drill.
Again, which is not legislation, right? Because we're not drilling, right? We're not drilling. Let's just be clear. We're not drilling.
And so that's not a policy. What legislation has he enacted?
What if he gets OPEC to produce more oil?
How would he, again, Tim?
You sure you're not? Wait. You talking about me, Fluffy? You sure you're not in a position where you just refuse to acknowledge anything Trump do that's good?
No, what I'm saying. Okay, you brought up OPEC. Everybody forecast how much oil they're going to produce, right? I mean, I'm talking about forecasting here.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So if they've already forecasted for 2025, there would have to be something of significance for him to go and say, we need to produce this, and OPEC would have to react to that based on what? This is the problem when he just says drill, baby, drill with no policy and no strategy on how he's going to get there. Everybody just goes drill, baby, drill. That's not a fucking policy, Tim. Let me ask you this. Do you get up and drive somewhere that you don't know where you're going without a plan to get there?
No.
Okay, then. So just to say drill, baby, drill with no plan, this shit is bullshit. So what I'm saying, the same thing about bringing egg prices down. What I know is that he's reached out to Denmark to ask them, how many eggs can they spare, brother? Can you spare a few eggs, right? And Denmark's like, we ain't really got no extra eggs, right? So again, they don't understand. But here's the thing: what I will tell you is what they don't understand is whether it's bird flu, whether there's this I forgot the name of the worm that impacts cattle heads, so they have to reduce the number of cattle heads that are going to. They don't think about. They're not looking at none of that shit. They're just listening to him. Oh. And sometimes a broken watch is right twice a day.
Well, they don't think they don't believe he steered them wrong. That's why they listen to him. I got to move it on, but I want to ask you this before I go. I'm going to give you the floor on this. So you've drawn a negative comment out of my YouTube audience. I don't know what it means. Maybe you can help me out.
Sure.
This is coming from No Reply. He says the caller has black fragility. Floor is yours.
Well, the problem that whoever that caller is they don't understand pretty much how the black community works, how the economy works, how business works, how corporate America works. Unfortunately, the guy that you think has black fragility is pretty versed in all of this shit, my guy. So I understand how this works. I also understand what fascism is. I also understand what cult personality is, and we're experiencing it right now. So every time you look up and you think Trump's doing something for you, because clearly the person that made that comment is not in the 1%. So the reality is that person he's in the same boat I'm in. And when we're on the same boat and I'm looking at you going, you put us in this boat, at that moment in time, you can talk about my black fragility. But until then, grab an oar and row.
Wow. Mike, always a pleasure. Thanks for coming through.
Hey, Miss Morbetta, I love you, boo. Tap the screen, share the live. We got to get up to at least 50,000. Wow.
Y'all can do that. Yes, get me up to 50,000. THOU. Tap the screen, let your thumbs and not be lazy. Mike, always a pleasure.
Take that one with you on the way out. Peace.
Thank you. Thank you very much. All right. Whoa, Mike. Shout out to you with the galaxy. Holla at your boy. Appreciate the support. Bandito says Mexico will not pay for the tariffs. Wasn't it a Mexican president? Was it Vicente Fox? Mexico will not pay for that fucking wall. I think that was Vicente Fox that said that during Trump's first term. At this point, Trump's got the wall, though. Regardless of who paid for it, the wall is well under construction. And the border is incredibly secure. You got it, no matter how you feel about President Trump, in terms of border security, which I suppose would be a good thing for any nation, right? You got to get Trump credit, at least in that area. I should have had Mike ask him that question. Mike doesn't like when I say give Trump credit, but who else has been stronger on securing the southern border than Trump? Wow. Liberals are mad the border is closed. I'm not mad about it, Yellow Bear. I don't think all liberals are mad the border is closed. I don't, under Obama, the border was pretty damn secure. Remember Rush Limbaugh, the late Rush Limbaugh, referring to Obama as the porter in chief? The border was pretty damn secure under Obama. Liberals weren't mad. I think the reason that Trump is a polarizing figure. Simple as that. Trump is a polarizing figure. So even if he does things that may be good for America, people are still not going to like it just because of who he is. It's kind of like, let's say your team loses the championship or the Super Bowl, and the other team wins, but they don't just win. They are bragging. they are ragging on your players, talking shit, it's gonna make you have a different opinion of your adversary than you normally would if they just lost, if they just won and did it gracefully. Trump doesn't win gracefully. He rags on the other. Biden is gone. Trump is still talking negatively about Biden every single time he's on TV. He actually has Biden derangement syndrome. If you're talking about what Trump derangement syndrome is, Trump has that on Biden. Biden is gone. And every time you see Trump on TV, he's either ragging on Biden, Kamala Harris, or Obama. Stevie D, appreciate it. Thanks for the support, Stevie. Appreciate that, man. Thank you. But yeah, Trump clearly has Biden derangement syndrome, which is why I'm really surprised that Biden and Kamala Harris were so cordial to him during the inauguration and things like that. Because he's clearly not returning the favor. Okay, you won. You won. You don't have to treat us like shit. You won. If you think that we didn't know what we were doing or we were incompetent, get in there, straighten America out, and everybody can prosper. You don't need to continue bashing him at every single press conference. He doesn't win gracefully. So, like as I use with the sports analogy, you're going to hate that team even more if all of their players just rag and just do all kinds of. I watch WNBA games. Caitlin Clark, for some of you folks who may know who that is, and her adversary was Reese. I can't think of the name, the chick's name, Reese, whatever her name is. But that's the difference. Whereas the Caitlin character is, Caitlin Clark is very professional about it, and then Reese is not Angel Reese is who I'm thinking about. Angel Reese, yeah. So that's how it was in the college. Now that they're in the WNBA, it's a little different. But yeah, you're not winning gracefully, and that's what MAGA's doing. Now I get the excuse where they talk about him too and all this other shit. That ain't how it's supposed to be. Where you're in there basically going nah 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 or Marsha. That's what Trump is doing. They talked about me first, so I'm gonna do it back. That's why a lot of folks don't give him credit for anything he does, even if it's good. It's because he's constantly done so well at making enemies. So do want to point that out. Like, for instance, people say if he cured cancer, they would still hate him. No, because if he cured cancer, he would be bragging that he did it and Obama was too inept to ever get it done. Or that Biden had the cure right in front of him and he was just incompetent to know about it. That's what he would do if he cured cancer. He wouldn't just cure it. He would rag on people. So when people say they wouldn't give him credit if he cured cancer, probably not, because he wouldn't do it gracefully. GT Base, you called it without straight out admitting it. Caller clearly had Trump derangement syndrome. He refused to say he'd give credit where it's due, says GT Base. You talking about my last caller? Listen, and he did say something similar to that. I'm not arguing with you on that was in regards to Mike. But as I just pointed out, people are not going to give Trump credit for accomplishing anything because, like I just said, he doesn't know how to do it with any professional tact. You can't get up there and accomplish things, and while you're doing it, you're ragging on the notion that, well, the guy before me could have did this too if he wasn't such a piece of shit. If he wasn't so much garbage, we could have done this 4 years ago before me. That's what he's doing. So yeah, people are not gonna like you for doing that. It's just get the job done. Just make America great and get your accolades, get your praise. You don't need to beat up on somebody that's gone already. He continued trashing McCain, the late John McCain, for a few years after he died. So yeah, you're gonna get a little Trump derangement syndrome when that is your method of operation. But I know the Trump supporters, they like that shit. Beat up on the last guy all you want. He was a piece of garbage. We agree with you. Yay, yay, yay. Keep hammering Biden. They like it. So that's where you get your Trump derangement syndrome from. Y'all want a nice guy go to church, says Yellow Bear. Well, and your comment doesn't fall on deaf ears. You say if you want a nice guy, go to church. Fair enough. Well, if you want somebody to give your guy proper praise, then go somewhere. Then go to church where they praise people. You want to boast that you don't normally get a nice guy, but then you want the people to treat him nicely. You're trying to have it both ways. You want a nice guy, go to church. Fair enough. Our guy's not going to be nice. If you want a nice guy, go to church. Fair enough. Didn't no bitch about when people ain't nice to him. You're actually supporting him not being nice, but then the people that are, when they return the favor, you're saying they got derangement syndrome. Yeah, that's definitely backwards in my opinion. I don't know why you were so upset about Trump taking a little smack when under the Biden administration, they tried to put him in prison. Come on, man, because Trump was doing this to people before Biden even became president. Let's not pretend like Trump was a very nice professional guy until the Biden administration tried to put him in prison. He did this shit during the 2016 and 2020 presidency too. And nobody was trying to put him in prison. Then he was doing it then. So you're trying to make excuses for it. And by the way, Trump attacked so many folks that had nothing to do with any of his criminal cases. He went way outside of that. I mean, CNN ain't trying to put him in prison. He's been attacking CNN for 10 straight years. They ain't got nothing to do with his criminal court cases. He's way outside of that. So yeah, you're making excuses for what he's doing. If you take a break, if you have to break the law and violate human rights, yet still win a Nobel Peace Prize, that's not something to cheer about or get high praise for. No, you shouldn't get a Nobel Peace Prize, to be honest with you. You shouldn't get that. And I think that some folks were hopeful that Trump might get a Nobel Peace Prize. You can't be talking about taking Greenland and Panama. He's not going to get a Nobel Peace Prize. I mean, that don't sound very peaceful either, by the way. But I did want to, before I go to the next caller and tap the screen. Can we get 50,000 on TikTok? Tap the screen. Give me a good solid minute of tapping. This is what we were talking about earlier. I did play the clips earlier, but there's a little bit of a new audience in here now because folks are saying that, look, Trump ain't trying to take over countries and shit like that. It's a joke. The liberals are taking him out of context. Here he is from yesterday.
Whole area is becoming very important, and for a lot of reasons, the routes are, very direct to Asia, to Russia, and you have ships all over the place, and we have to have protection. So we're going to have to make a deal on that, and Denmark is not able to do that. Denmark's very far away and really has nothing to do. What happens? A boat landed there 200 years ago or something, and they say they have rights to it. I don't know if that's true. I don't think it is, actually. But we've been dealing with Denmark, we've been dealing with Greenland, and we have to do it. We really need it for national security. I think that's why NATO might have to get involved in a way.
Now that's him talking about Greenland. That was yesterday. So he's still talking about taking over Greenland. In addition to Greenland, as I talked about, he's also talking about taking Panama. Panama sounds like he's even further along than what he was on Greenland.
Much, but we're going to make them very fast, very soon. It will have a huge impact. To further enhance our national security, my administration will be reclaiming the Panama Canal, and we've already started doing it.
Now, responding to the report of a possible U.S. military takeover of the canal, Panama's government said it would defend its sovereignty. Meanwhile, Panama's President Jose Raul Molina said President Trump was lying about.
So now Panama is talking about they'll defend its sovereignty. So that would certainly be military action. I don't think it would last very long. I don't think Panama could really stop America if we wanted to take over anything in Panama. I don't think they can stop anything, but it does sound like, just like the Ukrainians when it came to Russia, they sound like they are willing to do whatever they can to defend their sovereign land. So I don't expect America to be in a 3-year war with Panama. I think it would be over with pretty quick. But that's Panama and Greenland, and then of course Canada. About
anything. And by the way, Canada is very highly taxed, and we're very low tax. We're considered a low tax nation because of me, because I cut the taxes so low. So the people of Canada would pay much less tax. It makes a lot of sense. And by the way, when you take away that artificial line that looks like it was done with a ruler, and that's what it was. Somebody sat there years ago and they said, "Rah." Well, when you take away that and you look at that beautiful formation of Canada and the United States, there is no place anywhere in the world that looks like that.
Real quick in the comments, Thomas Lanham says the Panama Canal and Greenland are strategic necessities for the future security of the United States. What the fuck does that got to do with those countries, though? What the fuck does, I mean, like, seriously, if I live next door to you for the strategic security of your home, you gonna take my shit? What the, you don't have a right to defend your national security by taking other people's shit. That is not a decent argument. Well, we needed to protect our security, so we decided to conquer your country, which is essentially ruining your own security. I don't know why people think that sounds like that's a good argument. People will lose their freedom. They will lose their own security, their own financial security. Some of them will lose their lives when America takes these countries over. Their jobs, you can't just take somebody else's shit because it'll help your national security. That's insane. That's like, talk about narcissistic. Damn, that sounds bad. GT Base says, and thank you, GT, for your support. Says, we don't like smack talking, but we had to listen to so much junk from the libs for years that we are finally able to release all of that pent-up frustration. I've had that happen on a few really good dates, if you know what I mean. Let me just say this in regards to releasing pent-up frustration. There's always been criticism back and forth. The right thinks the libs are all socialists. The socialists think, the left thinks that the right are all racist and stuff like that. So, excuse me, you say that we don't like smack talking. I don't buy that. I've been talking politics 20 plus years. The right has always talked smack about the left, and vice versa. The left has always talked smack. So the idea that we don't like smack talking, I don't know what area you're coming from with that. You said, but we had to listen to so much junk from the libs for years that we finally able to release pent-up frustration. I don't know of any time in history where the libs were attacking the right and the right was just taking it and not saying anything back. The right has always been critical of the left as well. That's always been happening. So that doesn't make any sense to me. So, and by the way, it's a big difference between the libs talking about the right or the right talking about the libs as opposed to it coming out of the White House. Big difference. Big difference. Bill Clinton, you're going to talk about the libs talking about Bill Clinton wasn't criticizing folks like that. He's left. He wasn't saying awful shit about the traditional, right-wing citizens of this country. He wasn't doing that. Neither was George W. Bush. Barack Obama wasn't known for doing that. Every time you see him on TV, he's insulting people on the left. He wasn't on the right. He wasn't doing that. Trump is unique in that. Now, when we talk about left-wingers criticizing the right, the average citizen, you might have seen it from members in Congress like the Maxine Waters, them kind of folks, but you didn't see it coming out of the White House. Obama was not known, even Biden was not known as somebody who was constantly criticizing MAGA or folks on the right. Eventually, he did get around to it where he started talking about ultra MAGA and referred to them as garbage. Even the garbage comment, that was like about 6 months ago. He did that toward the very, very end of his administration, very end of it. Trump literally came on the scene insulting people. So it's different between it coming from the citizens versus coming out of the White House. Bush, Obama, and Clinton all vacation and party together. All the same poison. Bush, Obama, and Clinton's all vacation together. And Trump was just hanging out, doing everything right, huh? But all them pictures of him and Epstein, huh? Oh, what is that? What does it got to mean when you say they party together? You do realize Trump went to the Hillary Clinton's wedding, donated money to their campaign. Trump was involved in that circle too. It's really interesting to see people try to suggest that Trump was some kind of an outsider and he wasn't part of that. You don't get to be a huge real estate mogul in a city like New York without a whole lot of politicking. Trump was in those circles too. And there are pictures to prove it. Trump got pictures with every president. He's at the parties and all of that. So I don't know why you're trying to make it sound like Bush and Obama and all of them were hanging out and Trump was just off somewhere else out there yonder. Trump was at that shit too. I mean, even when Obama attacked him at the correspondence dinner, what the hell are you doing here? You're an outsider. Why are you sitting at the correspondence dinner so that Obama can talk about you? You're an outsider. Why are you here? So he was involved in all of that. Let me go back to the box. It's crazy people think that he wasn't involved in that stuff. Texas. Good evening. Welcome to the program. He's so religious he has his own Bible. Texas, good evening.
What's up, Tim?
Not much at all. Hanging around like Mike Pence on January 6th. So what do you think? You think that Trump could potentially get us into some kind of military conflict?
Well, I mean, it's hard to say because you had someone on here that said the death of 58,000 American troops is a Cold War, but 10% of those deaths only accounted for in Afghanistan is a hot war. So I don't know what's a conflict to the left.
To me, if Americans are dying or if Americans are in harm's way, that's a conflict to me.
Yeah. I mean, Vietnam, we agree, is not a Cold War, right?
That's an actual war. That is in Korea. Yeah, because he said America's not been in a war since World War II, and I'm like, no, Korea, Vietnam, hell, even our invasion in Panama, that little small conflict, that's a war. If people are shooting at us and we shooting back, that's a war.
Yeah. Well, but what Afghanistan and Iraq has shown, and Obama was magnificent at it, is that with modern age military equipment, we don't have to get our troops involved that much, right? And I'm pretty sure there is a record that Trump would like to take from Obama, and that's the most drone strikes. So that's what I think would happen at most with the Mexican cartel. We can eliminate their operational support.
What about Greenland and Panama?
Disrupted. Greenland, what is their, how many armed forces do they have?
I don't know, but you're not going to take over Greenland with drone strikes. You're going to have to put boots on the ground for that.
Do you know how many people live in Greenland?
Like 50-some thousand. I got a Greenland guy that calls me regularly. It's like 50-some thousand, I think.
Yeah, and I don't think they have an army, actually. But, so I don't think military force will be needed with that.
So what do you think you're going to do? They're going to just all surrender?
No, I think he's going to try to put enough propaganda in Greenland for them to want America there. I mean, I've already seen videos of people in Greenland saying they want America to come there and saying some crazy stuff like because they want McDonald's. It's like, okay.
Yeah, but they all want to be obese, huh, with high blood pressure and diabetes. No. No, I mean, the thing about it is, if you're seeing videos of people in Greenland that are saying they want America there, there's plenty of videos of people that are saying they don't. So there's clearly going to be some kind of clash for it to happen. The people who don't are not just going to bow down.
I don't think it'll be a clash, really. I think he would be able to make the deal for Greenland with Denmark pretty easily. The biggest thing would be Canada out of the 3 or 4 if you count Panama.
So what about Panama? You're not going to take over the Panama Canal with drone strikes either.
No, but they don't have a large enough military force. I mean, I don't care what the Panamanian president says. I mean, you're not going to stop. I mean, wasn't it said yesterday or today that Trump's already talking about stationing troops in Panama to take over? But BlackRock's already going to put in $20 billion to revamp the ports.
You're speaking from a standpoint of arrogance. I mean, we would have said the same thing about the Afghanis. They don't have a military anywhere near as much as ours. That don't mean they're not going to still try to put up a fight.
But we knew. Hold on. But we knew before we went into Afghanistan how they fought because who did that before us?
Russia.
Who was in Afghanistan fighting?
Russia.
Yeah, and we were supplying the Taliban to fight Russia. That worked out great for us, didn't it? Yeah. So we knew exactly who we were fighting and how it was going to happen there. And the reason we didn't drone strikes and missile strikes weren't as effective is because they were hiding in the mountains. That's why we got better.
And they got jungles in Panama. They got
talking about that big bomb.
Yeah, they got jungles in Panama. I mean, I don't think it's just going to be a cakewalk. I mean, these people are. I mean, there will be at least some Americans that'll lose their lives going over there trying to take the Panama Canal.
Yeah, but I mean, if 58,000 deaths isn't a hot war, we're not even going to see the amount of deaths we saw in Afghanistan, which was like, 5,000 at the most. So we're not going to see that in Panama. We wouldn't see that in. That's why I say, to me, out of the four, you would have to worry about Canada. But
I'm gonna tell you why I
Trump's
disagree with
try
that.
to bankrupt Canada.
I'm gonna tell you why I disagree with that. You start taking people's shit, and you increase the chances of guerrilla warfare and terrorism. You start taking the Panama Canal. Now all of a sudden you got Latin countries shipping ships through there with bombs on them, trying to destroy the whole damn canal. I mean, I think that you're willy-nilly just suspecting it's gonna be a pushover. People can find all sorts of ingenuity to strike at a bigger juggernaut. They did it in Iraq. They did it in Afghanistan. They're doing it in the Middle East, all over the place. You don't think that if we take the Panama Canal, some of them are going to really be angry about that?
It's not going to result in a conflict comparable to Afghanistan or Iraq, no.
But with the way we're
treating, I'm not saying there might not be a military conflict, but I'm saying it's going to be the most minimal amount of conflict we've ever seen, not just in our lifetime, but in hundreds of years of history of our country. It's not even going to go down as anything major.
Okay, do you believe it will only stay with Panama? I mean, we're viewing most of the countries that are south of the border negatively. I mean, we don't like Venezuela. They're in that region. I mean, we've treated all of them bad.
Well, Trump screwed up Venezuela, and he also gave asylum to a lot of Venezuelans at the end of his first term because he screwed up Venezuela. A lot of people don't like to talk about that, but that is a truth that he did do.
Yeah. Well, my point is
this: we tried to overthrow the government and displaced a large amount of Venezuelans. So, I mean, and it didn't cause us anything happening here, or we didn't have any.
So wait a minute, but here's the point I'm making. If we take over the Panama Canal, do you feel confident that other nations south of the border, like Venezuela, that we've treated like shit, do you feel confident that they may not join in the conflict? Just like with Gaza, there are other nations that want to get their hands on Israel for what they've done. You don't see that maybe potentially be expanding and being a broader conflict than just between the U.S. and Panama if we do that?
No, because a lot of them aren't really friendly to each other down there. So I don't really see them unifying over something like this and wrapping their money and resources to go up, against the United States military force to help Panama.
They're not trying to help Panama. They're trying to get at the United States. They're not trying to help Panama. They look. I mean, this will be yet another country that is in the Latin world that America's screwing up, though.
I don't see it going there, but I'm not doom and gloom. I know you get a lot of doom and gloom guys on here, but yeah, you can call it arrogance, but I look at it as thinking positively. Like I don't wish for a 14th Amendment or whatever, or Article 14, and I don't wish for a civil war like one of your callers did. I don't think it's going to come to that, but
I had people wishing for Biden. I had people wishing for Biden to fall off his bike. Some people just wish for doom and gloom.
Oh yeah, no doubt. And look, the first time I saw it, it was the far right when Obama was elected president. And I was more right than I am now, but that made me look more to the center and to the left because people were calling Obama the Antichrist, and it was like, what? Yeah. It was insane. But honestly, looking back at that and where those people were 20 years ago, almost, and where the left is now, it's almost the same. Most of the left is doom and gloom and fear, full of fear of this is going to be the worst thing. And both these sides have each other's hands in each other's pockets. I don't care what Trump says. He was a Democrat for 30 years. Mm-hmm. You're telling me he doesn't have Democratic, friends that are still in the Democratic Party? Yeah, he does. But,
Well, I will agree with you in regards to the doom and gloom is that, when it doesn't matter who's president, the other side is painting a picture of doom and gloom. Trump said Obama didn't do one good thing for this country and was saying the same thing. That,
but we have to help each other separate ourselves from that, right? Because it's just like people who wanted Biden to fail. I would tell them, why do you want Biden to fail? That only hurts us when Biden fails. You might not like Biden, just like you might not like Trump, but you shouldn't want our leader to fail. What does it hurt to say, hey, man, I hope he's right. I hope it does work. I hope these tariffs do work. Because if you want to see it, there is progress in the tariffs.
I 100% agree with you.
Ford came back. Huh?
No, I 100% agree with you. We should want our commander in chief to succeed. But as I pointed out with my sports analogy, when the other side is winning ugly, he ain't just doing things that are good in his opinion. He's taunting the other side. Like I said, even if he cured cancer, he wouldn't just be taking the praise for curing cancer. He would be bashing Obama or Biden, saying that this idiot could have done if he had knew what he was doing. I mean, when you're bashing people, they're not gonna root for you.
Okay, but Tim, did Biden not bash Trump every chance he got while he was in office?
No, he didn't bash Trump.
Yes,
First of all, let me clear it up. Hold on. Biden wasn't on TV every damn day.
No, he wasn't. Isn't that sad? But he did every chance he get badmouth Trump, and you can't sit here and tell me he didn't.
So what is Trump doing? Getting revenge? People
that say Tim's fluffing, he ain't fluffing now.
So what is Trump doing? So then what is Trump doing? Getting revenge?
Yeah, I mean that's what they all do.
No, they don't. No, they don't all do that.
Obama did it. No. Obama talked trash about Bush, blamed Bush every chance he could. No. Don't get me wrong, Bush screwed up. The recession, he handed that recession over to Obama. I'll agree to that 100%. So I'm not saying he didn't have the right to bash Bush, but yes, he did, Tim. No. Every chance he got, he blamed Bush.
You and I
would. You probably weren't into politics then. Trump probably spurred you into politics.
You and I would we totally disagree on that. The notion that every time Obama was on TV,
you can't admit to what.
Not only can I disagree with you, we can pull up Biden speeches and see plenty of them where he's not criticizing somebody on the right.
I'm not saying he did it every time, but
I'm saying Trump is doing it every time. Trump is doing it every time.
Yeah, okay, so Trump is extra on it. So what? You gotta ignore it to a point. I mean, it's like, my God, how's it affecting you? That we know how Trump is. He is very eccentric, egotistical. He's a billionaire. He's a very aggressive when he does business. Accept his personality traits and don't let him hang.
Wait a minute.
That's where that TDS comes in. It's like, we know what he is. We know he likes to hear himself talk.
No, here's the problem though. If he's egotistical, why can't the voter be egotistical as well? If you're okay with him doing it, then the voter that he's talking shit about, why can't that guy be egotistical as well?
Because most of them are coming after the supporters of Trump.
No.
That's why it's a problem. Trump is going after Biden, but Trump isn't going after Democratic voters.
Are you kidding
Biden
me?
Did.
Are you kidding me? The socialists, the defund the police, Black Lives Matter's a terrorist outfit. He goes after Democratic voters.
Those are all Democratic voters?
Baltimore's a shithole city. Yeah, he's going after Democratic stuff. Yes.
That's just a city. So Baltimore is the staple of the Democratic Party.
When
you see Baltimore, you think Democrat?
Let me clear it up for you. The Democrats believe that he is talking about them, and he's not reassuring them that he's not. You can interpret his stuff as meaning something else. The Democratic Party sees him, and I'm telling you, the average Democratic voter, they see him as insulting them, and he is not clearing that up. So as long as he's doing that, they have the right to be egotistical just like he is.
Okay, I guess so. I'll let you have it. But
so there you go.
Like, so you're gonna bash the guy for being that way, but stoop to his level and bash him about it and hold it against him. That makes a lot of sense.
Well, I'm gonna tell you one thing.
That way too, but I'm gonna say he's the bad guy for acting that way, but I'm not, because I'm just.
And you're doing the exact opposite of that. Is that you're saying that the voters are the bad guys for saying stuff about him, and you're okay with him doing it.
I'm not saying they're the bad guys. I'm saying that voters don't need to let themselves make them emotional over the fact that he sits here and keeps bashing Biden. So what if he keeps bashing Biden? So what if he's aggressive with these other countries? Look, Ford came out and said he's raising 25% surcharge on our energy to the Eastern Seaboard, and then backed down after he said over and over again. So something happened behind closed doors, and you can't sit here and keep saying it's Trump, when that's what the Democratic Party has ran on for the last 8 years, is trying to point out Trump's failures, but he has consistently gained voters.
I don't disagree with that, but what I'm simply trying to tell you is
explain it, though.
I am explaining
how that ideology is working for you Democrats, when all you want to do is, differentiate so far and say, hey, we cannot agree on anything because you support him. and he's gaining more and more votes.
Let me read something.
Democratic Party in here calling you a fluffer just because you'll play devil's advocate and show how the other side might think a certain way.
Let me read something to you. Let me read this to you, and then I'm gonna ask you a question. This is Trump on Thanksgiving. This is his X message, what he tweeted out or Truth out or whatever you want to call it now. It's on his own social network, Truth Social. Happy Thanksgiving to all, including the radical left lunatics who have worked so hard to destroy our country, but who have miserably failed and will always fail because their ideas and policies are so hopelessly bad that the great people of our nation just gave a landslide victory to those who want to make America great again. Don't worry. Our country will soon be respected, productive, fair, and strong, and you will be more than ever before proud to be American. How do you think Democrats should view that in your opinion? Take your time. Take your time.
I mean,
because I got another one for you after that.
I didn't say that it couldn't be disconcerting and be upsetting, but what I'm saying is,
yeah, you did.
Be mad at Trump.
Yeah, you kind of did.
I said, hold on. Let me speak, Tim. I said, be mad at Trump, but not be mad at the voters for Trump, because y'all pocket us all together, and that's only burning and growing the division.
Well, if he tweets that out,
that someone has the right. Hold on. If you cannot admit that someone has the right to support a man for other things, not just deny him because of what you dislike, he says, but other things. That's not why people are voting for him, because he said that tweet. That's not what they're voting for.
So if he sends out that awful tweet, if he sends out that awful tweet and he gets like 2 million likes, those people like that tweet. They're not talking about his policies. They like the fact that he said all that shit about the libs, right?
How many people liked it?
Oh my God, it was, let me see if I can find out how many. It was a lot. I mean, it's coming from his social network.
We want to say 2 million. We want to say 2 million.
I don't know.
So not even 10% of the people that voted for him liked it.
Okay, so what should we think of those 10%?
Well, I would say that would probably be your extreme MAGA.
What should we think of them?
I think of them the same as I think of the far left. I think they have been brainwashed with propaganda pumped out from both sides, and you have to let a lot of that hate and emotionality with disagreeing go and say, hey, look, yeah, I can agree with you on this, and I can disagree with you on this, but still understand why you feel that way or why you're voting that way. And that's what a lot of people are lacking, Tim. A lot.
Okay. Do you think he is helping maybe make things better or worse in that area?
Oh, none of these politicians.
I'm talking about him. We're not talking about other politicians. Him. He's the one in the White House right now.
I'm saying all of them.
Okay, well, I'm not talking about it. I'm asking you about him, the guy in the White House.
All of them, Tim.
Can we talk about him right now? Can we talk about him? What is he doing to make it better?
Okay, the TDS is kicking in.
No, yeah, because you're trying to talk about everything. He is the leader of the country. What is he doing to make it better?
Well, I told you what I think is the biggest accomplishment he's done so far. I don't know if you remember. That?
I don't know, but you're not answering the question I'm asking you. What is he doing to make this division
I'm
better?
getting to it. I'm asking if you remember the last time we talked, what I said is what he's doing to make it better. Because you ask me this question every time.
I don't remember.
Answered it. Okay, so he just set Bitcoin as the strategic reserve for the United States. Excuse me, sorry.
And that's going to make people forget he called them radical lunatics that's destroying America? Bitcoin?
Say again? I didn't hear.
He's on Thanksgiving, he's calling the Democrats radicals that's destroying America. And you're saying that Bitcoin's going to make them forget that?
No, I thought you're saying what is he doing to make the division better?
Yes.
Or what he's doing to make the country better?
Well, if the country is
I
wealthy,
misunderstood the question.
If the country is wealthy but divided, is that a good thing?
No, division is never good.
So what is he doing to make
just like his predecessor and stuff? He's not doing, in my eyes, anything to make the division better.
All right.
That's what I'm saying.
Is it his job to do so, though? Is it his job to unite us?
You would hope so. just like I would have hoped Biden did, just like Biden promised when he first took office, but I saw him make no moves to
I see why you saying I have Trump derangement syndrome. We can't discuss Trump without you talking about somebody else. I can't even ask you a question about him.
Hold on, Tim. I'm just showing you where it's done on the other side, and you're refusing to acknowledge it. That's not my fault.
These people are not even in the White House anymore.
Say Biden didn't do it. I can sit here and say Trump's not helping bridge the divide, but you can't say anything bad about Biden.
I can tell you Biden got voted out.
Who we just found out wouldn't let his press secretary have direct contact with him.
Biden got voted out of office. He is now gone. So bringing him up.
He didn't get voted out. Biden didn't get voted out. He got stepped down by his party.
It's even worse. His own party rejected. He's gone. So when I ask you something about the current leader in the White House, bringing up some dude that is gone. I mean, what's next? You want to talk about Carter? I mean, he's gone.
I mean, we can, but all I'm trying to do is show you, Tim, that both sides do it. And until you're ready to admit both sides do it, you're going to be stuck where you're at, brother. And you're going to keep diving into this fear-mongering shit that they pump into both sides just to create the divide. Because I can tell you right now, I promise you right now, on my life, that if he were to become a dictator and try to do some crazy-ass shit to the minorities in this country, I'll be standing in that line, armed to the teeth, ready to die for that to stop.
He's already doing some crazy shit to minorities.
Oh, well, he hasn't even deported as many people.
I didn't say nothing about deportations.
Here we go. Trump's the devil.
I didn't say nothing about deportation. That whole DEI shit where they're claiming that DEI means people that are getting jobs without merit, and he's firing people for DEI without showing that any of them did not have merit. I mean, he's firing minorities and replacing them with white guys and not showing how the person that got fired lacked merit. The general, the head of the Coast Guard, the admiral, show us where these people, the four-star general that he fired for DEI, he appointed the guy. So can you tell us why you appointed a guy that didn't have merit during your first term and then fired him for DEI in your second term? He's firing people the guy had 40 years experience.
End up going against him?
What?
Trump appointed him, but he wasn't a Trump supporter, right?
No, he was not.
Yeah, and that's the God's.
That ain't DEI though.
Fired him.
That's not DEI.
Yeah, but he's using DEI.
Exactly. He's making up. Right. You're gonna give me my fourth star. I got 40 years experience. You gave me my fourth star, but because I don't like you now, I turn into DEI? I mean, come on now.
I'm not going to defend it.
Right.
I understand your point. I get where you're coming from. But I'm talking more along the lines that's affecting minorities and the masses.
I have not seen
that happening.
Well, then let's go with the masses. But he's firing people that are high up in their authoritative positions, claiming their DEI, and all of these people have merit. He is firing a lot of people of color and women that actually have merit and saying they don't and replacing them with white people.
I'll promise to keep my eye on that, and if it escalates, I'm going to be ready. That's all I'll say. All right. But I don't see it going full blown. I mean, I can sit here and I understand that technically DEI is a great thing, but when it's actually in use, it becomes a bad thing, right?
Why was it created? Why was it created to begin with?
To me, it was created to make sure minorities that met the standards or qualifications for the job had that spot available to them, that it couldn't be excluded. You know what I mean? It's saying, hey, look, we're going to make sure so many applicants, right, are interviewed that meet the qualifications, but are also of a minority group.
So in other words, you're saying that.
And that is great. But I can sit here and explain to you how my dream, what I went to college for, I didn't get to have that job because of the color of my skin. And I was told that to my face. I wanted to be a game warden. And they came out and said, son, we cannot hire you because we don't have enough slots to hire that many white people.
You know what? Yeah, you know what they should have told you is, son, we cannot hire because we don't hire it already. It's too many white people. I mean, yeah, they just like you're saying, you were not allowed to be that next white guy to get the job. How many black guys or Hispanic guys got turned down to get all the white people that they did have? Chances are you didn't get the job, but there's probably far more Hispanics and blacks that didn't get it, so that all the other white people that were there except for you that did get it. I bet there's more of them than it is of you.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how many were applying, you know what I mean? But I know there was, like he said, there was way more applications put in by white people and not enough by minorities. So they have to pull that many minorities. That's what I was told. I didn't get upset about it. I liked the idea that it happened. I had a degree. It wasn't a specialized degree just for that kind of field. So I've made my due. I've paid my way in my own right, and love what I got to do now. Everything happens for a reason. And I'm not saying DEI needs to go away, but I understand why the far right is saying it does, because it started to be the basis on what people were getting the job for, not just getting the
Why won't they
slots,
show us
but
that,
the job for.
Why won't they show? I mean, because the people that Trump were firing, like I said, you're talking about stuff that may be happening at the lower levels. Trump is firing a whole bunch of people and yelling DEI, and all of them have merit. Why won't he show us somebody who actually lacks merit that got a job?
Well, wasn't that the director of the FAA? I mean, no. He wasn't qualified.
I didn't see how. Here's what they call not qualified. If you go on your job and you fuck up, and you happen to be a woman, a gay person, or a black person, the only reason you were there because you were DEI. Maybe it's possible that you went and tried to hire somebody. You checked everybody with merit, and the guy that had the most merit happened to be black. And while he was working for you, he did something stupid, and you had to let him go. That don't mean he's DEI. They're making it sound like everybody that fucks up that's a person of color or a minority only got the job because they're a person of color or a minority. When a white guy gets on the job and he screws up, nobody yells that he only got the job because he was white. Sometimes people just don't work out. That's why it sounds racist and it sounds like they're hurting minorities, because they're making up shit. When Trump hired Omarosa for his administration, the black woman during his first term, and it didn't work out, he didn't say I only brought her on because she was black or she was DEI. Now, it may have been the truth, but he didn't say it. So everybody that's black that screws up is not DEI. Huh?
After he let her go, he did bash her, and that pissed me off because I was always an Omarosa fan. Yeah. But he did bash her, and that again, to me, that's why a lot of, and it may be easier for me, right? Because of my race, that I can just blow off a lot of what Trump says, and maybe I don't need to do that. I'll secede to that, and listen more to how that may make minorities displaced by what he says. And it's not, it's harder to take it as just rhetoric coming out of his mouth, right? Because it has a more direct effect on you and minorities.
Yeah, it's easy. I say it all the time. It's real easy to ignore Trump's insults when they're not aimed at you. I got to move it on. I'll give you the last word.
Yeah. Oh, well, I was going to ask a question. You said it was Free Friday or something.
Go ahead. I'll answer it on the other side, but go ahead. What's your question?
Okay. Fort Knox, because it hasn't been audited since like the 70s. And Nixon took us off the gold standard. I want to see what gold's in there. And
good luck with that. I got to go. Good luck with that. Moving on. And that's what, like I said, when they said they're going to audit Fort Knox, he said the same thing about they're going to release the Martin Luther King files and the Epstein and JFK. He's been in office 7 weeks now. There's no excuse for why you ain't got that shit yet. As what my last caller said, you're probably never going to get it. That was probably just some kind of bullshit just for folks that wanted to hear that stuff to maybe make a vote for Trump. There's no excuse why weeks have went out and that hasn't been released yet. They could have long since made the MLK or JFK or Epstein files. They could have made them public by now. No excuse for why that ain't become public yet. Looking in the comments, why are dual citizenship Zionist Jews running a government, says Jay. I don't know who you're talking about. Dual citizenship Zionists. Give me some names. I don't know what you're talking about. Other than that, just sounds anti-Jew to me. Will G says the last time we were in isolation, things went boom from people across the ocean on a Sunday morning. He's referring to December 7th, 1941. Trump is, for me, from my own analysis, and I'll go back to the box, appreciate the hat mustache. Oh, excuse me. Whoever just sent that, I did want to say thank you for that. It didn't tell me who sent that. Travelman, thank you. Trump is speaking on both sides of this in regards to make America great. Let's just focus on us. Let's get out of overseas conflicts. That's what he ran on. We're going to take care of Americans first. Stop sending money overseas. Get out of nation building. Focus on Americans first. He ran on that. He got the presidency, and now he wants Panama, Greenland, parts of Canada, if not the whole state or whole country. Talking making this state. He didn't run on that. That ain't America first. That's getting involved in overseas conflict. So he's kind of talking out of both sides of his neck on that, because that ain't what he ran on. I don't think I ever heard him at a rally talk about taking over Greenland or making Canada a 51st state. All that stuff started coming out once he became president. So it's hard to know with him, just like with the tariffs, because what he does today may be totally different than what he does tomorrow. I mean, he just operates. That's why the stock market is getting jacked up, because investors and businesses like to have some level of predictability. And this guy's just all over the map. I mean, I'm 25% tariffs today, so you're like, fuck, 25% tariff, but we can still afford to purchase this much steel. Maybe we got to shut down the office in Jacksonville and lay a few people off it. But 25% tariffs, we can still make this work. Then the next day, damn, he said 50% now. I mean, you just don't know. You can't run a business on somebody that's doing this, where your numbers are swinging all over the place like that. And then all of a sudden, you don't start laying people off. But I just heard on TV, he decided they're going to call off the tariffs. So it's not going to happen now. And all that's happened in the span of a week. Like, how can you do business with somebody's doing that? So that's why the volatility in the market has been outrageous, because he's all over the map with that. Looking in the comment section real quick, the Biden nightmare is over a little bro. Yeah, the Biden administration is gone. But the Biden administration for President Trump was gold. I mean, Trump does very well when there is something to attack, because his followers, to some degree, they like that kind of stuff. I mean, me and my last caller went back and forth, but for the most part, any insult that Trump throws at somebody, MAGA kind of echoes that. So they clearly like it. I mean, when he called Senator Elizabeth Warren Pocahontas, they call her Pocahontas. When he called Nikki Haley bird brain, they call her bird brain. They like the insults. So Biden is gone, but you kind of need somebody to attack. That's why he's not letting go of Biden, because the attacks are so effective on him. You keep hitting them when there's nothing really to hit anymore. Just still keep attacking them, because they like it. They like to hear this shit until you can find another good victim to attack. I mean, he likes to attack, so we'll see what happens with that. She called herself an Indian. She didn't call herself Pocahontas, though. No reply. I mean, if I call myself a white guy, do you start calling me Seth? I mean, Pocahontas ain't got nothing to do with calling yourself an Indian. And by the way, Elizabeth Warren lied on a law school application, suggested she had Indian heritage in 1986. 39 years ago. You're calling her Pocahontas for something she did 39 years ago. Do we want to bring up everything that Trump has done over the last 39 years and really? Because that's what you're saying. It's fair game to do that. The infidelity, some of the racist remarks that people think he said. 39 years. He identified as a Democrat, talked about taking away guns without due process. 39 years. You want to hold him accountable for everything he did for 39 years, huh? Pocahontas First of all, the Native Americans also consider that a racial slur. I guess we're going to pretend like Trump has never said anything racist while he's actively calling somebody Pocahontas. I don't know where to go with it, but I know if the MAGA side likes that stuff, they don't give a damn about the Native Americans complaining about that. They don't give a shit about them. They like the Pocahontas. They like the name calling. But the Native American community has came out flat out and said that this is a slur. Fuck them. We like it. Looking in the comments, you don't talk about what Trump did in the 80s. No, I don't, because it's going way back. Trump identified as a Democrat back then. Trump said the economy's better under Democrats back then. I believe he was pro-choice back then. He clearly said he's not a Christian, never asked God for forgiveness in his life back then. I cover some of it, but rarely. I certainly don't, every time he don't even call Elizabeth Warren Senator Warren. He calls her Pocahontas all the time. So for folks who talk about you're disrespecting the president or you got Trump derangement syndrome, that's one senator that he clearly is disrespecting by calling her Pocahontas. That is clearly disrespect to her. She made a mistake not a mistake. She did it. She lied on her law application in 1986. So he gets to insult her for the rest of her life for it? But when somebody says something about him as derangement syndrome, that sounds like the definition of it. He literally is continuing to bash her for something she did 40 years ago and intends to do it for the rest of her life. How is that not derangement syndrome? Somebody let me know. Going back to the box, continue though, I do appreciate the tapping. Wait, we at 50? Tap the screen a little bit. Maybe we can get to 60. Going to Miss Mo better. Tuna fish salad would have made a better president than Biden. Yellow Bear, I don't know about that one. Damn, you think Biden was that bad out of all of the other things we've had in office? Miss Mo better, good evening.
Tim.
What am I doing wrong?
It's the freaking hypocrisy. They want to cry talking about people don't listen. Trump set his own precedent when it comes to people coming at him, calling him out of his name, or putting him in his fucking place. He doesn't say nice things about people.
No, he does not.
No, the only time that he has nice things to say is when it's a photo op, like when he used that little boy that fought cancer. He'll say nice things, very minimal at that. He doesn't really have a lot to say. Oh, look at this kid. Oh, this kid is he has very low vocabulary. He doesn't read well, and he's just not a nice person.
How do you know he don't read well though? How do you know that?
Because he insults the teleprompters. He insults the teleprompters and the people that set him up. Oh, they didn't do a good job. The teleprompters it is. And guess what his followers did? Started they made that into a bad thing. Oh, they using a teleprompter. Yeah. It's crazy. And they talk about people have Trump derangement syndrome. No, y'all just deranged. And that's crazy. And it's been proven over and over and over again. And as soon as people put him in their place, then they want to cry. Oh, nobody's respecting the president. He doesn't respect people. He hasn't earned respect.
And I am one that believes in respecting the office, but I don't just believe in respecting the office of president. I believe in respecting the office of senator, governor, mayor, general. And you're right. He does not respect people in those positions. So it is a difficult argument to make that we should, folks would suggest we should respect the president when Pocahontas is about as disrespectful to that senator as you can get. So
he need to, if he want to keep going back to things, he should go back to when they threw shoes at George Bush.
At Bush, yeah.
Where's the chicletas when we need them?
Yeah, and he called her Pocahontas the same day when Al Green stood up and got censured. He called her that on the House floor. He called her Pocahontas. Yeah. So.
And he thinks because he's the president that he has no bosses, which thanks to the Supreme Court, he feels this way. That he doesn't have to respect people. He never really has respected people, and all of those things that they think. Oh, he was in the picture with this one. Those are photo ops.
But
those are photo
But let me ask you this: what about Michelle's whole Michelle Obama, when they go low, we go high? Do you think the Democrats should start fighting fire with Trump, or should they take Michelle Obama's advice?
You have to. That's the only way. That's the only way you're going to beat him. You have to meet him where he's at. If he's low, let's step back a little bit and head him off where he's at. The high road, he doesn't respect he has no respect for anything. So it doesn't matter what you say on the high road. That's going to bring him down a peg or two. You got to meet him where he is.
So you're suggesting we get rid of Michelle Obama and replace her with Jasmine Crockett?
Absolutely. Now, we're not going to get rid of her. We're not going to get rid of her.
I mean, the attitude.
We're going to stand alongside her, and we're going to pull a Jasmine Crockett on her. So you see how when Jasmine Crockett and ladies like her speak, they start attacking them. Oh, they start attacking their looks. Oh, you see, Marjorie Taylor Greene started with Jasmine Crockett. Oh, her eyelashes. And they start attacking their appearance. Because they can't go at, then this other guy posted, she's not from the hood. She doesn't understand. Listen, we already know what her background is. You're not comfortable with it. We are. We know she is a part of the elite. But what it is, some of those MAGA or whoever, white men, don't feel that black women have that kind of level of education, that we really haven't earned that, or that we are not deserving of that. This is why they made DEI a bad word. Yeah. Like you said, they turned things like that into the boogeyman.
Yeah, DEI is definitely being abused. I mean, like I said, it's being abused. And I start right at the White House. Trump has fired several people when he's yelled DEI, and not one person he's fired so far has he actually proved that this person, look at their resume, they should not have this position. He hasn't done that for a single one of them yet. Right. So yeah, he is really abusing DEI
and
more than anybody. We would respect
that more. We would respect it more if you come with receipts. We're into receipts now. You can't just pee in our ear and tell us it's raining. We've been through that for 400 years already. Yeah. You understand what I'm saying? So listen, come show like, okay, well, they've been cited for not doing their job, or they've been stealing money, or they've been misappropriating. They didn't come up with none of that. And now when they got up there the other day and said, well, where's Elon Musk? He's making all these decisions. He should be here answering these questions.
That was a strong, passionate plea. Now, of course, I'm going to have to give you the floor for a minute, because I got my MAGA views on YouTube are claiming that you are a DEI.
I got time tonight.
They're saying you a DEI caller. What the hell does that mean? I mean, that's what I'm seeing. They say you a DEI caller. What does that mean?
What does that mean? Matter of fact, tell him to give Obama his fucking phone back. That's the only thing I ain't like about Obama, because he gave idiots like that a fucking phone. Turn his internet service off.
Yeah.
God damn.
Yeah. To me, DEI is really slowly but surely starting to mean black.
It's the new N-word, Tim.
It's been black.
DEI is the new N-word, and like you were saying to that caller before, let's look at all the people that've been my job alone, a whole department was shut down because of a DEI, and they were all minorities. Yeah. They were all minorities, and this is for the Department of Energy I work for.
I mean, if the person that you're firing has came from the left-wing administration or has a left-wing agenda, and you're like, listen, I'm a president for the conservatives, and this person doesn't fit our agenda, like most presidents, we get rid of the last administration's personnel. Just come out and say it. But when you start saying that people are DEI and they have no qualifications and making up shit, you got to answer for that. And then, of course, he's firing all these DEI people and replacing them with white guys. Many of the white guys have less actual merit than the people he's firing. Now it starts to look like it's fucking racist. Like, just come out.
You know what the real bad word is cronyism. It's cronyism. You're getting rid of DEI to bring in cronyism. So what's better?
Yeah.
Let's make it make sense here. Like, we got to start calling these spades a spade.
Well, you don't want to use spade in this conversation.
No. We don't want to get in that kind of trouble, Tim.
Yeah.
You understand? Because Trump, his whole campaign, he's come up with different kind of words and all kind of different words, and they take the shit and run with it. You know what I'm saying? He's the one who started, this DEI thing. It's a bad thing.
How do you respond to somebody? Now, in the comments here, Anthony, I don't know what the last name, Merschdorf or whatever, he says, you don't even know what DEI is, woman. How do you respond to somebody? Okay, what is in your opinion, what is DEI?
It is what it says: diversity, inclusion, equity, and accessibility. Now, let's break this down and why was it even brought into play?
Right.
Because minorities were not included. They didn't even want minorities to read, let alone get a job. So they had to create things like that so it can be equal across the board. Listen, I'm all for segregation. I want equality. There's a difference.
Yeah, and I was going to say the same thing, because without DEI, you could be a person of color, you could be a woman. I don't know if they was really going by sexual orientation back then, but it didn't matter how much merit you had. If you were a woman or a person, you weren't going to get the fucking job. I mean, you
were not getting it. They wanted your ass in the big house so you can breastfeed their babies, fuck their men, and so if you really want to go into all of this stuff, we can get it popping. And I promise you're not ready. This is why they want to get rid of CRT, because of the ugly shit that white America has done to minorities.
My response has always been the same. Like, you look at if you live in a city, you look at all of the mayors in your town history, and you tell me the fact that there were blacks, whites, women, all of these different groups in your town, and all of the whole laundry list of people, mostly are white male. You think nobody else had any merit at all? Huh? No woman, they couldn't find it. I mean, like, you don't think these white dudes are getting the job because they happen to be white men? They ain't got nothing to do with merit.
They want to get rid of the Black History Month. All right, you can get rid of Black History Month because Black History is all year. And you want to go down the list of inventions? Let's do it. Matter of fact, the shit now with GPS, all of this shit you're doing now is a black inventor. So I was trying to be nice and not bring race into it. You keep saying, "Oh, you want to bring in race?" You have to bring in race. I find it disrespectful to say you don't see me in my color or respect me in my color.
Well, you're not. You can't have it. Yeah, you can't have the DEI conversation without race coming into it, because that's what's being targeted.
It goes hand in hand.
Yeah,
it goes hand in hand. But they, again, for some reason, you see what he's trying to do at the Arlington Cemetery, the National Cemetery? He's trying to erase a lot of the graves that are there of minorities, black and brown people. I was just listening to that on the radio.
Wait, explain that. What is he doing?
I can't really explain it to you fully because I got to go read the story, but I was just listening to how he wants to go into the Arlington National Cemetery and erase some of the veterans' graves or something that has to do with women and minorities.
I haven't heard that.
Yeah, because of a certain word or something that had the word gay in it. So, but like I said, I have to go look it up to see exactly what they were talking about. I literally, like 15 minutes ago, was just listening to it. But it's crazy because history, it is what it is. You can't erase it. It's not going to go away. That's like you trying to sweep up trash on the floor under the rug. You keep sweeping it up. You're never picking it up. And that's why I say racism and stuff, it was never abolished. It was always pacified. We're going to give you enough to shut you up.
Yeah, I haven't heard this, but I see an article here. Even Arlington National Cemetery's fallen, I guess that's the dead, suffer Trump's DEI dishonor opinion. And it has here, it turns out that even the dead must suffer idiotic consequences from Donald Trump's derangement over the hint of diversity, equity, and inclusion. Says worse still, the edicts coming from the White House are now dishonoring the heroes buried at Arlington National Cemetery. What does it says? The military news website Task and Purpose reported that the cemetery's public website has scrubbed dozens of pages on grave sites and educational materials that includes histories of prominent Black, Hispanic, and female service members buried at the cemetery, along with educational materials on dozens of medal honor recipients and maps of prominent grave sites of Marine Corps veterans and others. Wow. Jesus.
That's not just disheartening, that's disgusting.
Yeah, that's bad.
And anybody that try to justify that shit that he's doing, you're just as disgusting as he is. I don't give a fuck how you try to put it. Oh, you can call me the angriest black woman on earth. That's fucking disgusting.
Yeah, that's bad. I
mean, and to boot to a man that didn't even serve this country.
I'll tell you one thing. Anytime somebody tries to take down a Confederate statue or something, they say it's a race in history, but it's okay to do it to a black person's grave?
It's okay. Great. How disrespectful is that?
Wow. All right.
And not only that, the people that in the graves actually fought for this country. Those statues are people that actually divided the country.
Yeah.
There's a difference.
Yeah,
y'all start reading the truth about this shit.
That's
put
pretty
the statue
rough.
in your fucking yard if you want it.
That's pretty rough, man.
It's disgusting.
I gotta look more into it, but from what I've seen here, let the person rest in peace. Them, you want to
rest it? Come on now. How do you want to take away honors from a dead person? So where are those white national Christians at now with shit like this? Y'all claim to be so Christian.
Yeah, this is, and by the way, when you're doing it to DEI, that means it's only going to be happening to people of color, not white people.
Of course. Of course. Like I said, he made the DEIA into the new N-word. Like you said, he turns them into boogeymen. Like, again, y'all mad at trans people. Those trans people ain't bothering nobody.
They got their own take on that. That's a whole different conversation. I got to move it on, Miss Mobella.
All right, good. Because that'll take it into
that's a whole nother one.
Yeah, I get it.
All right, appreciate you coming through.
Indeed.
All right, looking in the comments real quick. Will says Trump ain't shit. That is certainly his traditional comment there. Let me see. And by the way, you will hear that anytime somebody has a super chat and says somebody ain't shit. You're going to hear the traditional. You will hear that. Even when people donate. I had somebody donate a super chat and told me I wasn't shit. So it does happen. Real quick in the comments, Miss Mobetta keeps it wetter. Oh my God. Richard, Andrew, Crosby. Now, I had a hell of a lot of MAGA in the comments. Before I go to the next caller, some of my callers bring out the passion in some of the comments, and certainly Miss Mobetta, Takesha Bowie, my sisters, they really do it. And there was no shortage of comments coming in when she was talking. The woman is 100% correct. WRH facts. I don't understand what WRH is, but yeah, the DEI thing from what I'm seeing, it is slowly starting to turn into a synonym for African Americans. There are words in our diction that when somebody says it, a certain group of people come to mind. For instance, if I say immigrants, you're not thinking of Chinese people. I mean, there are Chinese immigrants, but if I say illegal immigrants, there's one particular group that generally comes to mind: Hispanics. Even though you could be an illegal immigrant from anywhere, but if I say illegal immigrants, you're thinking of one group. If I say terrorists, you're thinking of one particular group of people from one part of the country. They've become synonymous with terrorists. I mean, if I say racist, you know who we're talking about. If I say thugs, so DEI is starting to become one of those type of words where you start thinking of one group of people. It's starting to be that way. And, some folks are denying it, but when you look at who's being fired and things like that, he's claiming, it's starting to be that way. And like I said, when you start getting rid of people claiming they're DEI and they lack merit, and you're not even showing how they lack merit at all, it starts to look shady. It just in my opinion. Looking in the comments though, no, she ain't correct, says I can't Mimarno, what is this? I got to put on my damn spectacles for that. One of my viewers says that, my last caller, Mr. Maru, says no, she ain't correct. She just wants to spew lies. He did a lot for the black community, but do they say anything? No, because they like spewing lies. Well, I don't think it's that Trump did a lot for the black community and they refuse to give him credit because they just prefer to spew lies. I think it's that the black community don't feel Trump did a lot for them. Look, if Trump was doing a lot for the black community, I don't think the black community would have any problem giving him credit. You had a lot of people in the black community referring to Bill Clinton as the first black president. They liked the guy. Trump, for whatever reason, they don't like him. I mean, they don't like him, and they did like him when he was a citizen. But when you become president and you're accusing black people of murdering white people, I've played the clips on here because everybody going, Trump ain't never said anything racist and all. He said and did a lot of things that he had not done as citizen, celebrity Trump, that he has done since becoming president, tweeting out white power videos and stuff like that. He wasn't doing that type of stuff when he was hanging around Jesse Jackson and rappers were making songs with his name in them and he was, doing cameos in Home Alone. He wasn't doing that type of stuff back then. He's doing it now. So that's why people go, well, why the hell were people liking him before he became president? And all of a sudden he becomes president and he's suddenly a racist now. Because he's done a lot of things as president that he didn't do back then. He's a different guy. I mean, before he became president, he was identified as a Democrat, talking about assault rifles, bans, and all kinds of shit. He ain't that dude no more. So that's why people changed their tune on him. He changed his tune too. I mean, there was a time when the Republican Party liked Taylor Swift. Well, now she's a different woman now. She doesn't like Trump. The Republican Party doesn't like her. Trump's the same way. He changed who he is. So people changed on him. It makes perfect sense. Looking in the comments, Central Park 5 were found innocent. Fuck out of here, said Scott. Yeah, you know something, before I go to the next caller, I was in a debate. For some of you folks on TikTok, you may know AJ. He's Black MAGA. He's certainly Black MAGA. I talk to Black MAGA all the time. I love talking to Black MAGA. And he is in a debate tomorrow, and he's trying to invite me to come debate with the crew. He doesn't believe that the Central Park 5 are innocent. Jesus. Now, of course, he doesn't believe that George Floyd was killed by Derek Chauvin and, was hesitant to say Rodney King did not deserve a beating. I mean, I don't know what it, and this is why a lot of African Americans are very critical of Black MAGA. I don't know what it is about blacks that when they become Republicans, they start being very critical of other black people. Listen, if you favor the Republican Party, small government, you're pro-life, you believe in the church, you support law enforcement, military, that's fine. But I don't know what it is about the African Americans that become Republicans. I don't want to say MAGA because even regular Republicans before MAGA, they become very critical of the black community. I don't get that. Like Candace Owens, for instance. You don't hear Candace Owens talking about the black community unless it's something negative. She just doesn't. If she's talking about the black community, it's negative. And then that trickles down to the Hodge twins and most of the other, the Larry Elders and all of them folks. I don't know why that is. Like, you can't just become a conservative and stick with conservative principles and tell us how they are better than the principles coming from the left. Why are you bashing your own kind? I don't understand that, but that is probably another reason why blacks are hesitant to become Republicans. Is because all of a sudden you start criticizing black people. I don't know. Looking in the comments, though, I don't believe that statement. I wish I didn't believe it either, William Lynn, but I watch so much conservative media, it's doing it to me. I watch so much conservative media, so much Fox. I listen to everybody from Shapiro to Glenn Beck. Sometimes the War Room with what is the guy's name? Part of the Trump administration, the one that went to jail. Can't even think of his name right now. But the War Room. Bannon. I watch enough, Steve Bannon. I watch enough right-wing media that even when I am around, like when I go to Chicago and I'm in the hood, I'm looking at people like, shit, damn, I have to remind myself, you grew up around here. Why the fuck you so at edge around your own neighborhood? Because I watch a lot of right-wing media. They portray minorities out to be violent and, criminals. I mean, it's just, it happens. So for some reason, you watch a lot of right-wing media, you become very critical, rather, of the black community and minorities in general. because that is what they typically show you. You don't see a graduating university class full of minorities on Fox News. They'll show you the ones that dropped out. They'll show you the ones that are robbing a CVS down the street, but most of the stuff they cover on minorities is negative. And it will wear off on you. If you watch a lot of right-wing media, if you got a grandpa that sits around watching Fox News all day long, he probably got a negative opinion of black people, even if he's black himself, because it does play on you after a while. How many folks on the right, how many of my beloved MAGA will tell you all the time the power of what the mainstream media can do to you? Well, you're going to tell me it can't happen from the right-wing media as well? If you watch a lot of right-wing media, that stuff's going to have an effect on you too. It doesn't just work when the mainstream media is attacking Trump. It works the other way around too. Looking in the comments, don't make me laugh. Says Will. Trump called the first black president an illegitimate. Yeah, he did do that. Called the first black VP DEI. He did that too. First black Secretary of Defense DEI. Yeah, he did that too. First black Supreme Court Justice DEI. Yeah, he did that too. Freed to hire, and then he fired the highest ranking black officer. Yeah, he did all of that. He did all of that. So this is the guy that tells you all the time he loves black people. He did more for blacks than anybody since Abraham Lincoln. But literally all of the African Americans that reached the pinnacle of success in Washington, he's either said they don't deserve a job, they didn't earn a job, or tried to fire them from their job. That is true. That is true. Called the first black president illegitimate. That's Obama, said he was born in Kenya and therefore should be disqualified. First black vice president, that would be Kamala Harris. He did refer to her as DEI, suggesting that she only got the job because she had an affair back in the 80s. First black Secretary of Defense. First black female Supreme Court Justice, Taji Brown Taji Brown Jackson, is it? Yeah. He's done all of that. He has actually done all of that. And that's what I'm talking about when I say they're using DEI improperly. Like, let's take Kamala Harris. Everybody says she's DEI. If you didn't know who Kamala Harris was and you just looked at her resume, it literally is a resume of somebody on their way to becoming president. I mean, she was attorney general. Well, she was district attorney, elected position. Then she became attorney general of California, an elected position. Then she went on to become senator of California, an elected position. Then she got appointed vice president, which is an elected position. Even though Biden put her in as a running mate, they still had to get the votes to win, an elected position. So district attorney, attorney general, U.S. senator, VP, she literally looks like somebody who's on a stair step to that job. Her resume is actually greater than Trump's in terms of a typical president. Her resume is actually, when you look at Trump's resume, I own these businesses, I did this, it's just all financial. Her resume is actually more resemblance of somebody becoming president than his is, and he's calling her DEI. So, I do believe that. I do believe that he is known for calling people DEI without showing evidence. And what is the name there? DeVito, I think it is. What does it say? Dwight Dorsey. Yeah, I say, yeah, really. I mean, just think about some of the other past presidential candidates we've had. Maybe they were a governor for a term or two. Obama's resume was really light. Kamala Harris got a significantly better resume than Obama. So, I definitely would say that. I definitely would think that. Anyway, looking in the comments, Kamala Harris has no resume. Okay. Well, that's derangement syndrome there, to look at all of the things that she's been and suggest she has no resume. That's just pure hatred. Let me go back to the box. You can say she wouldn't be a good president. We can certainly have that conversation. I would entertain that. But she has the qualifications to run. Travelman, good evening. Welcome to the program.
He has suggested that.
Are you there?
How you doing, bro?
I am. I'm doing good. I can hear you. So what am I getting wrong? This whole DEI thing that Trump is bashing and constantly pushing on us. Do you think he's getting it right?
This is from this is from the guy with what they call it, the golden spoon in his mouth.
Yeah.
You okay?
That is.
And what people tend to forget is when affirmative action was white. You know, they tend to forget that.
Yeah.
They also tend to forget when they received preferential treatment on Wall Street because of the color of their skin.
Yeah.
Okay. They tend to forget all of that stuff. See, people like to think that this happened a long time ago. No, this didn't happen a long time ago. We're talking about in the 70s, 80s, 90s. Hell, I got profiled, and I was in uniform in broad daylight.
Damn.
Okay. And I was pulled over and said that it had been some burglary or something, and I fit the description. And I'm like, dude, I'm in uniform. Okay.
So was the burglar in uniform?
Was he wearing a Navy uniform? You know?
That's like pulling you over for weaving. They just making up an excuse.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You know, the thing that gets me also is, like you were saying about with the DEI thing, they fired the CNO of the Navy. And they said because of DEI. I don't even think most people, unless they've been in the military, they have even the slightest idea of what it takes to get to the 4-star level, to reach that level. Okay, that's not even the cream of the crop. That's above that.
To me, that should be insulting to a lot, particularly minorities, but even some of the white counterparts that really respected that guy. Like, you know this dude earned this shit, and the president on TV talking about he's DEI. You know this dude earned this.
If you're a black pilot, especially when he went in, he went through hell to get to where he's at. He couldn't be as good as. He had to be better than. And that was drilled in him from the time he was a kid until he went off to school and when he went into the Air Force. Because that's how we was raised. It was that if you want to get something, you cannot be as good as the white guy or white lady that's putting in for that job. You have to be better than. You cannot give 100%. You got to give 120.
It would have been better to just come out and say, you know, I'm a conservative and I don't believe that this person had, you know, I don't think this is a good fit for our agenda. And we want to put our guys in just like Biden would have put his guys. It would have been better to say that than to say somebody is DEI, you know, this guy's a 4-star, to just take the highest ranking members of the military and then all of a sudden just lie and say they don't have the merit to be where they are. That to me is just disgraceful. I mean, this person put their lives on the line for the country, you know, put their time in those cases, it's going to be decades. And then it just come along and say, well, everybody that's been promoting him throughout his career just kept giving it to him because he's black. I mean, that's just horrible.
That goes to show you where the country is at right now. Okay, everybody like to talk about, well, you know what, we're going to do it on merit, we're going to do it on this, we're going to do it on that. That, you know what, they like to talk that game. But that's not really where they're at, you know. So when they see a person of color, whether somebody black, Hispanic, or whatever, in certain positions, then they're assuming, well, how did they get that position? Oh, they got that position because of the color of their skin or whatever, you know. And I think I've said this before, especially when it comes to black women that operate at the level where Kamala Harris and Ketanji Brown Jackson operate at. Mm-hmm. All right? Like you was talking about her resume. Her resume is off the chain. You know, nobody in the last 10 or 15 years that ran for president can put their resume up against hers. You know, but they called her dumb. They said that she can't answer a question. But if you remember that famous question that the lady asked Trump about what is he gonna do about daycare, and
that went in minimum wage when he was working at McDonald's too. Just talked all around it.
Things of that nature, you know. And I tell people all the time, when you Ketanji Brown Jackson, look at her resume compared to all the other justices on the Supreme Court. Look at her resume. She's done things that none of them has done because that's what she had to go through to get to where she's going. You know, I worked in IT for 30 years. When I got into IT, it was 1982. Okay? Mm-hmm. So a lot of times, I was the only brother in the room out of 25 or 30 people. You know, so I
was in IT as a telecommunications specialist with AT&T, and during that era, I was in environments like that too, where you know, wasn't a lot of brothers around. I've been in those environments as well, so I know what you're talking about.
That's how we came up, you know.
Yeah.
So, but nowadays, everybody want to put this thing in, you know, hey, we're gonna do this on merit or whatever, and a lot of these guys are getting to where they're at. A lot of them got to where they're at because of the color of their skin.
Yeah.
Okay, they got into Harvard or whatever because their legacy. Okay, W got in there because of legacy. Trump got in there because his daddy bought a building or something. You know, it's all it's all it is. They always want to bring up, you know, merit and stuff like that when it's black folks involved.
Yeah, yeah. To me, like I said, the merit thing is laughable because, like I pointed out, you think that only white males, despite white women, Hispanic men and women, black men, none of them got the white males are getting all the positions of leader. You think that merit is the reason that's happening? Like they can't find nobody else to be a mayor, to be the head of the park district, to be the fire chief. Only white men are getting these jobs all over America. You think merit has something to do with that? You think you think there's not some kind of DEI going on with that? They don't like to hear that part though.
And check this out. Go back and look at Trump judges that he appointed.
They're all white men.
I bet you 99% of them are white.
Yeah.
You mean to tell me in this day and age they couldn't find any other black conservative judges to put on the bench, especially since considering some of the white judges that was put on the bench was rated by the ABA as not qualified to be on there.
Yeah.
But they only got two. I think he appointed two in the appellate section. You know. So yeah, you know, you run across stuff like that. Now, but that's taking us away from what's going on. Okay. And what's going on is how jacked up the country is right now because we have a man. The Supreme Court took the office of the presidency, which is the most powerful office in the world, and said that we're going to give whoever occupies that office immunity as long as they're doing something that's in the course.
They're going to fix that real quick when Trump leave. I think they're going to change that back.
We get Trump in there, and this dude is out of control. Not only is he trying to take over every facet of American life or American institutions, he's reaching out to other countries. Right? We just had I think it was last week, you had the top military from the 5 other nations that met.
Okay.
And they're devising a plan to increase, you know, all the budget and stuff like that. They're doing all of this stuff. And they met last week and they excluded the U.S.
Well, we already knew that with Trump in office, eventually these people, because they do believe that he does not have the best interests of Europe, the best interests of, you know, to containing the Soviet or containing Russia. They don't believe he has their best interests at heart. So they are like, we need to start working on this outside of the U.S. because we can't depend on them as an ally like they used to be.
But the last time we went into this type of isolationism, we ended up in World War II.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah, I seen Will mention that December 7, 1941, when we sat back and let them basically
Exactly.
prepare themselves.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, now you got the administration telling Colombia, you need to put these departments under receivership. This is the only thing they can teach. You know, they are reaching down in the all kind of different facets of life, and they're trying to control all of that. Meanwhile, you got these MAGA morons running around here, and they're trying to, every time he do something, they're explaining it away. You know, the man even went over there, excuse my French, because you know normally I don't curse a whole lot. They even went over there and fucked with the Kennedy Center.
What do you mean?
And he fired, they kicked the entire Kennedy Center board. They kicked all.
Oh yeah, and they made Trump the guy.
He put his own people in there. One of which used to be his caddy. You know, they put his own people in there, and then he turned around and said that the board unanimously voted for him to be president. Okay, I mean everything. They're reaching down into all kinds of stuff, and it's jacking the country up. They find out these people. They came out so fast and furious that it caught everybody off guard. So they find these people. How the hell you gonna fire people with a form letter? Thank you for your service, but your performance sucks. So get your ass out of here.
That's why I said earlier in the show that I do believe if Trump is replaced with a liberal president, you're going to see a lot of federal employees probably getting back pay. There'll probably be some huge class actions because them folks are not being fired legally. I mean, Elon Musk and Trump, for whatever reason, they're shrinking government. They're using waste, fraud, and abuse or DEI as an excuse to do it, but they're doing something else because clearly everybody getting fired do not qualify as waste, fraud, and abuse because they had to hire a bunch of them back, and they absolutely are not all DEI because they're not showing you how they don't have merit. So they're using excuses to get rid of people, but those are not the reasons they're actually doing it. They're just using those because they think people will buy it. Once you get somebody else in there, and them folks get the right attorneys behind them, I think we're going to have to pay some people back pay. We're going to have to rehire people and pay them back pay for that stuff.
Where's the fraud at? If fraud is committed, then somebody needs to be going to jail.
Yeah.
See, Trump is a big time liar and also a conspiracy guy. And if you go over there and look on X, what's his name? Musk. Okay, he spreads all kind of big time BS over there also. So they throw this stuff out there because they know people don't do the research. You know, to give you an example, I think we said this before. $50 million for condoms. You know,
that turned out not to be true. The 8 billion, the numbers
they
are
still
off.
Talking about it.
Yeah,
MAGA's still talking about it. Things that have been debunked, MAGA's still talking about it. You know, it's like, well, I told you that there's an epidemic of head up Trump's ass syndrome, and every day is proven correctly. You know, they're standing up there lying to people. They're standing up there talking about this BS budget. We gonna cut all this money. No, and they ain't show shit of what they cut. Yeah.
Isn't there a case right now where a female judge is demanding Elon show the receipts?
Judge Chunkin, the same one that was in Trump's butt, the same one.
I think she gonna be a rhino. She gonna be a rhino.
She say, bring your butt here, and you gonna testify, right? But check this out though. Let me know. Some people on the text they can let me know also. Trump did an EO against a law firm.
Yeah, the one that did the Hillary Clinton thing.
He's done it to 2 law firms. He's attacking freaking lawyers.
Yeah.
He pulled their clearance. He banned them from the federal buildings. You know.
The thing about it is, I do have to wonder what. I mean, I know the right is not going to defend the left, but yeah, some of this stuff is getting to the point of being outrageous, like banning the Associated Press from interviews because they won't call it the Gulf of America and stuff. I mean, he's just coming up with any. This is just like with DEI and it. Just make up a reason why you're doing it, and people will buy it, even if the reason is not legit.
and it's all, everything with him is personal. Everything with him is personal. He's going after the law firm because they defended Jack Smith. Yeah. Okay, I heard they love to talk about matter of fact, he said today when he went to DOJ, they raided my house. Yeah. Okay, Richard Cranium, they raided your house because you would not give the documents back. And they told you they were coming, and you still wouldn't give them back.
But I will say that is why, like I mentioned this earlier, that's why I think Trump is winning so much, is that people are seeing what he will do to his enemies, and a lot of them are just like, I'm not fucking going through this. It ain't worth all this. I mean, let's say, for instance, you're a Republican member of Congress and you know Trump is doing something unconstitutional, and you looking like, I don't want to be the only motherfucker doing this. Now, all of a sudden, MAGA showing up to my shit, and I got to have bulletproof glass. If ain't none of the other Republicans gonna stand up, fucking, I ain't gonna stand up either. That's what I believe is going on, because if you stand up against Trump, particularly if you're a Republican, you're gonna start getting death threats and shit, and it takes a very strong politician to do that.
But it's not just the politicians. It's also the business people. All right? And they're afraid because Trump has DOJ, he has the FBI, and he can actually come after them. Yeah. Or he can, if they got a contract or something, like he pulled the $400 million from Colombia. He is very petty. And he's a firm believer in using the finances to
the first thing if he gets mad at you, the first thing he's doing is trying to hit you in the pocketbook, denying federal funding. He's hitting people in the pocketbook,
and that's affected the people in the private sector. Check this out: everybody that gets associated with Trump, either they go to jail, they lose their reputation, their business go damn near bankrupt, i.e. Mr. Potato Head. The Pillow Man.
Mike Lindell. Wait, he's rebounding though. He's rebounding a little bit.
And you got about 14 people that have either been to jail or disbarred or penalized, disciplined by the bar. So this is everybody that's associated with him.
But he keeps winning.
But he stays out of trouble.
Yeah.
What's wrong with these people? Now you got the guy from Cantor Fitzgerald. Now he's talking crazy about the tariffs and stuff. Come on, man. Come on. That's elementary. Tariffs is a tax. That's it. When that equipment comes in and when they bring that bill of lading over to customs and they look at it, they stamp it, and then they say, okay, give me $15,000 or whatever it is.
But but he is our president. This is who we voted for. I got to move it on. 3.5 years or more he has left. So this is our guy.
Yeah, and we still got 3 years and 10 months of this Earth Biscuit.
Earth Biscuit. Wow. I gotta go. Travelman, thanks for coming through.
Have a good one, man.
You too. Real quick in the comments, and I do want to. Will G says, but we're supposed to be happy about Trump putting in a black woman in a non-comfortable position as a pardon czar. Yeah, he did do that. Congratulations to her, but get the fuck out of here. 2 black people in the administration only. Yeah, you're not going to get a lot of black people in Trump's administration. I think that's safe to say, but I guess 2 is better than none, huh? Merit is subjective, says Slim Shady. Explain that. How so? Subjective in what way? I think that here's how I look at it. Take the person's resume, damn who they actually are. Let's just imagine you got the resume and you don't know who this resume belongs to. Look at the job they're applying for and ask, does somebody with this resume qualify for this job? Should this job interview somebody that shows up with this resume? That's why I say Kamala Harris had the resume to be president. When you're looking at it from a resume-only position, cackles, how she laughs, for instance, that ain't part of the resume of whether you want to be a president or not. Who she slept with back in the 80s. That ain't part of a resume. That's not part of that. You realize how many people, and let's just say for shits and giggles, she did get some kind of promotion for sleeping with somebody. Let's say that actually happened. Let's say Willie Brown gave her the next level. She still had to climb several levels. Willie Brown didn't get her into the Senate, didn't get her into VP. She didn't fuck Joe Biden. So the thing I will tell you is this. There's a whole lot of successful Americans, particularly women, that have slept their way into jobs. Kimberly Guilfoyle, the one that was married to Gavin Newsom, and then left Gavin Newsom and damn near married into the Trump family with a stint on the 5 and on Fox News. That chick was sleeping with dudes. I'm pretty confident that she slept her way into where she's at. Kimberly Guilfoyle is a good example of somebody that's sleeping in with. Look, but does that mean she don't have the resume? She's also an accomplished attorney. She has a law degree. So you could be a combination of both. Keep in mind, I don't care what your education is, chances are you knew somebody to get where you're going. I mean, you knew somebody that might have gave a good word for you to get you hired in somewhere, or maybe you got a cousin that works in HR. We all use people. You don't have to fuck somebody to do it, but we all kind of finagle our way throughout life. I'm just saying, we all kind of do it a little bit here and there. You know, certainly in Washington, I would assume that that's happening a lot. Looking in the comments here real quick. And by the way, to bring up that Kamala Harris slept her way to the top while ignoring the fact that Trump got a major head start over anybody doing business in New York. Your dad gave you millions of dollars. No, you didn't fuck your dad, but you didn't earn your start. You didn't start off at the starting line. You were already in the middle of the race when it began. But we're going to point to Kamala Harris. She didn't earn her way. This dude got millions of dollars gave to him for doing nothing. Okay, so he didn't earn it either. He didn't earn that. I would dare say this. Okay, Trump's a billionaire. He did turn what he got into more and more money. He was successful in making more money off what he got. But I'll tell you this. If many of us that are right here tuned in right now, if your dad had gave you the same amount of money that Trump gave his, I bet I would have a few billionaires watching me. All of you wouldn't have squandered the money. Some of you would be significantly wealthier if you had the same advantage he had. Same advisors, access to the Wharton School of Finance. I couldn't even get in that school back in the 60s. They wouldn't have took me in there. I don't even know what Trump's graduating class looked like, but I bet there's nobody of color in it and probably little to no women. DEI, huh? You think they were maybe appointing or maybe enrolling students based on DEI towards white men? I bet you if you look at the Wharton School of Finance when Trump graduated from it, it ain't a lot of diversity, equity, or inclusion at all in the graduating class. That's an advantage too, that you got into a prestigious school that other people that didn't look like you could not get into. That's also an advantage. Didn't earn it. Ain't that what we say DEI means? Let me go back to the comment section. If MAGA, what does that say? If MAGA and the Tea Party knew Colin Powell was going to take his position against Trump, they would have called him DEI too. He would have definitely been called a rhino for sure. And probably, yeah, you're right, Colin Powell. The late Colin Powell, yeah, if they had knew he was going to be against Trump, yeah, he would have been called DEI, and he would have been called a rhino as well. I had a person on yesterday that called Ronald Reagan a rhino because of his speech that he gave back in '87 against tariffs. Said that tariffs destroy the country, can lead you into a Great Depression. And I had folks in the comments that said Ronald Reagan was a rhino. You cannot be critical of anything Trump does and remain a respected Republican. Wow. But yeah, somebody did say that. Before I continue on with the program, look how he blamed Obama. Somebody said that on Instagram. Yeah, Trump. Look, the man he definitely likes to point out his adversaries. That's kind of what he does.
And girls are gingers. They've always been there. The latest example being the plane crash in Washington. It was the DEIist But don't take my word for it. Let's let MTV's Road Rules star and Fox and Friends B-teamer explain DEI.
You can't focus on diversity, equity, and inclusion when you try to hire air traffic controllers. You want the best. You want the brightest, protecting yourself and your family.
We will have the best and brightest in every position possible. It is colorblind and merit-based.
Look, there's a lot of reasons why the FAA is in a bad place. But these guys would have you believe that the main problem is that standards were somehow lowered to make sure that a black person or a gay person gets a chance to land your plane, even though the requirements to become an air traffic controller are the same. But by culture warring this tragedy, Americans spent that terrible night holding their breath that the pilot or the air traffic controller wouldn't be a woman or a black person or in a wheelchair. Because what they're trying to do is make the default setting on competence in America a white guy. That's what this is, a reset to the factory default.
How many of you guys agree with that? Because this is the way it used to be when I was a young man. If you got on the plane and the pilot was a woman or a black person, like, shit, are we going to make it to our destination? If you went to a doctor and the doctor happened to be black or a woman, like, shit, are you sure you know what he's doing? I mean, when we were younger, you did feel more secure when the person in the job was a white man. You did feel like competence was more secure with a white man. How many folks believe that is what they're somewhat trying to do, is take us back to, because that is the way it used to be. As I just pointed out, you know, if you go to your town and you figure out, well, I want to see the names of everybody who's ever served as postmaster, or the names of everybody who's ever been in this town. It's all white dudes. Most of it is, until, maybe the last generation or two. All of it is. We used to have a time in this country where competence and a white guy were synonyms. So how many of you folks believe that that's what they're trying to do now? And he's right. When Trump got on television and referred to that plane crash as DEI, the last thing on your mind is that the pilot was white. You instantly felt that it's either a woman or a black person that's either on the help, because we had a show on it that night. In fact, we had a show on it, and that's what I said. I said that one of them pilots is black, or the air traffic controller. Somebody involved in this crash is either black or a woman. Now, it looks like Trump pulled that out of his ass, because now that it's been a few weeks, he hasn't proven the DEI thing at all. But then, as I just pointed out in the show, he's been firing people right and left, calling them DEI, and he hasn't proved any of them lacking merit either. So he's on a tangent with that one. I don't know where he's going, but it does seem like he's using DEI as a reason to fire minorities, women, and people of color. Just say they didn't have the merit. If you find somebody that you want to terminate and they happen to be black or a woman or a person of color, fire them and just say they were DEI. That's what it does seem to be. And because nobody's going to ask you to actually prove that they didn't have the merit, it's working. I got MAGA all over the place telling me people are getting fired and DEI is bad because you should have merit. None of them are asking for Trump to prove that the people getting fired didn't have merit. They're just assuming it. So it is working. Hourglass, is that what that says? Hourglass says this one's for all the haters. I appreciate the super chat. What does that say? I'm looking at your emojis. This one's for all the haters. I thought we were all lovers in here. What are you talking about? Will G says he borrowed and stiffed. He didn't earn it. Yeah, now you talking about Trump and his finances. He borrowed and stiffed. He didn't earn. Yeah, like I said, if you're gonna, to me, Trump talking about people didn't earn it with all of the advantages and privileges he got in life. I get a lot of folks all the time that talk about, they push back on like a lot of white people. They push back on white privilege. My family struggled too. Trump can't do that. He is the definition of white privilege. He can't do that. You had privilege in every way, fashion, and form. So he should be the last person telling somebody else they didn't earn something. Like, you had all kinds of advantages. But people were buying it. It is oddly enough, some of the poorest Americans among us are like, he's one of us. Like, really? You could get $1 million from your dad at 20? They want to be racist without saying racist shit, says Will. Let me go back to the bots. One of my subscribers is Shiv McNasty. Good evening, Shiv. Welcome to the program. I don't know what I just hit there, but certainly tap the screen. We can get up to about 80 thou. That would be greatly appreciated. Tap the screen, get the likes up. Shiv, good evening.
Hey, Tim, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing okay, doing all right. Now, we got into a host of conversation about DEI and things like that, but let me ask you right up there, but before I go into the actual topic, do you believe that DEI is indeed about folks that lack merit?
What? No. DEI is exactly what it says on the package. It's so that any person has the same equal opportunity to get the job if they have the qualifications to get the job. It's to make sure that they don't just take this job and send it off to white universities so high-end white people can be the first people to get a crack at it and they can fill it all up with a bunch of rich people's Nepo babies. It's so that it's out there in the public and everybody can get a crack at it. And if they have the right merit, then they can come in. It doesn't matter what color they are. I don't care if you're fucking purple. So if you can do the job, you get the job.
So if they get rid of DEI and affirmative action, what changes do you see happening?
Well, any company that's run by a bunch of racist old men are going to hire only white men because they don't think women are real people. They don't think black people are real people. The only people they respect are white men. Period. End of story.
So you see, because I mean, obviously DEI and affirmative action, that stuff was created for a reason. So you believe you get rid of it, they're going to go right back to the reason it was created for.
Yeah, the same way if we decide to get rid of minimum wage, they would pay us pennies if they thought they could get away with it. Yeah. They don't care. All they want is money and status and power. Everything else can go out the window. They don't care about anything else.
But then I guess I'd have to ask the obvious question. Why do you think there's so many Americans that don't see it the way you do? There's a lot of Americans that want to get rid of DEI, and they're not rich. Most of them are white, I'll admit that, but they're not rich. So why do you think so many Americans want to get rid of it?
I'll tell you a couple reasons. One, they think that most of them, like you said, are white, and they think that they deserve every chance. So nobody else should get the chance before them. Two, they've had people for the last 40 years shoving down their throats how awful it is when they don't. It's just propaganda. Fox News is constantly saying, oh, this is awful, that is awful. It's just fear-mongering. They do it all the time. They're scared. They have these people scared that some Mexican guy who just snuck across the border is going to come and take their high-end equipment operator job. Like, he just knows how to drive an excavator. You get the knowledge and you pass across the border. They're terrified.
He just knows how to drive an excavator. Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, so you're saying it's basically from a boogeyman perspective.
Yeah, no, it's all scary. It's all fear-mongering, bro. And the thing is, that's why, like, everybody, I think we should have free higher education. If you don't want to give them college, make it community colleges or whatever. Because when you're in college, you learn things. You learn how to see all this crap, right? And you're not just getting your information from your crazy uncle or the news station that isn't even qualified as news. It's qualified as entertainment because all they do is lie.
Yeah. But I mean, you know, this country, we've been against free college education forever. I don't know. I don't see that ever coming back.
Well, we had it back when you were younger. College was affordable, if not free. Yeah, very affordable.
Yeah.
Okay. When I was younger, it wasn't. Like I was around the year 2000s when I should have been going to college, and I couldn't afford it, and it's only gotten worse.
Yeah.
It's only gotten worse. But
yeah, it's gotten a lot worse.
You probably could have gone to college with a part-time job.
Yeah, it's gotten a lot worse because I got my 2-year degree back in the early 90s. I think I got 92. I graduated first, but then I didn't get my bachelor's and master's into the 2000s, and it was significantly more expensive to get my bachelor's and get my master's. 10, 15 years later. You're right. It got much more expensive.
They want you stupid. George Carlin said it best. They want you just smart enough to run the machines and just dumb enough not to realize you're getting fucked by the upper 1%. They don't want you smart.
How does that benefit society, though?
It doesn't. They don't care about society. They care about their pockets. You keep thinking that these people care about anything but themselves. They don't. They care about their little group of people and how they can carve the country up a little finer amongst themselves. That's it.
That don't sound like...
I'm not talking about just Republicans. You got people like Chuck Schumer who will do whatever the rich people that call him tell him. You got people like fucking Jeffries, who's nothing but a coward, who's like, I'm just going to sit back and hope everything works out. It's all of these people. They're all greedy cowards.
Well,
that's all they are.
When you look at the likes of Nancy Pelosi was greedy too. She was making a killing, but
she can go to hell too. Yeah.
but Hakeem Jeffries is no Nancy Pelosi for the Democrats. Say what you want about Nancy Pelosi, she kept the Democrats in line. Hakeem Jeffries ain't he's no Nancy Pelosi. He is not a good replacement for her.
Yeah, Nancy Pelosi's an awful, dirty, criminal, old twat, but Jeffries has a spine. She's an insider trading piece of garbage. She's garbage. I hate her too. Like, people
give me a politician in your opinion that's not garbage, not a nasty old twat, as you say.
I can name a few. Katie Porter's an excellent politician. Jamie Raskin's pretty good. I'm trying to avoid the obvious AOC, Bernie, Rashida Tlaib, Jasmine Crockett, all these people that are actually trying to get stuff done.
Bernie has had some scandals, ain't he?
No, people were like, "Oh, Bernie's a millionaire," but it's like, yeah, he's 900 years old and he sold like 2 best-selling books, and he's like a 5 millionaire, not a 500,000 millionaire.
Yeah.
Like, they try to twist it. Anytime anybody on the left who says, "Oh, I don't like rich people," gets a little bit of money, it's the same as if, like, a black guy gets money. They're all assuming he's not already sold out.
Yeah, but if you want to talk about Bernie Sanders' 500 million, I mean, Nancy Pelosi ain't no kid. She's 84 years old. She old, too.
No, she can go straight to hell. I don't care. I hope a house falls on that witch.
Why do you hate Nancy Pelosi that much? You sound like MAGA.
See, that's the whole thing. It's not that I disagree with people who don't like politicians. All right, politicians are not good. There are some that are good, but like I'd say a good 90% of them are hot garbage.
Hang on a second, my damn phone. Without Nancy Pelosi, the Democrats would be way worse. I mean, because you need money in politics. I get what you're saying, but those
without Nancy Pelosi, if they had people in there who actually wanted to be there because they wanted to do their jobs and didn't want to be there just to line their pockets and make good stock portfolios, the Democratic Party would be in a much better place.
But you still need money, though.
Is a company.
But you can't just be a politician based on what's in your heart. It still costs money.
Bernie does it.
That's why he didn't win. You still need.
He didn't win. Hold on, wait a minute, back the what the fuck truck up. He didn't win because the entire Democrat establishment conspired against him.
Well,
they had Obama talking for Biden, they had everybody talking for Biden. The DNC is a corporation that is funded by billionaires. It's not like something that the people are involved in. Bernie didn't win.
Let me correct what I'm saying. In other words, Bernie Sanders would not have done what Bernie Sanders did if he ran as an independent. He had to run as a Democrat to get access to the money he did get access to, even though you're right.
Yeah, we have a 2-party system.
Right.
Yeah, we have a 2-party system.
So you need Nancy Pelosi in a 2-part system.
No, you don't. You really, really don't. Like, you need to have... Look, the people are the ones with the power, right? Like, I know the politicians sit there and act like they're all powerful, but the people are the ones who can make these things happen. If everybody decided to not go to work tomorrow, all these people would go poor in a month. And they'd be starving and crying about how they can't do anything. Like, we have the power. They don't. They work for us, and that's what they keep forgetting.
I don't think I can let
We can have them removed.
Yeah, but
very
the problem is if we all don't go to work tomorrow, those people will get poor in a month. We gonna be poor tomorrow. So we can't go a fucking month. We can't do it.
They can't kill us all, Tim.
That's a real positive slogan.
Positivity doesn't matter. Reality does.
Yeah. I mean, I get what you're saying, but man, but your stance on Nancy Pelosi is awful. Damn.
It's not just her. Chuck Schumer can fucking go chew a curb too. All of them. All those old ass, worthless ass politicians. Fucking Mitch McConnell. He can fuck right off. All of them. All these people that are above the age of like retirement. Just fucking go to a beach and be old. Let people control the country that have actual access to the country. These people are so fucking out of touch. They might as well be on Mount Everest. They have no idea what a regular person is dealing with. So all they're trying to do is make sure they don't lose their careers or their power. That's all they care about.
So do you feel that way about Bernie Sanders? He's also old enough to be on the beach retired.
Bernie Sanders is out right now doing an anti-oligarchy tour. What is Nancy Pelosi doing? Eating fucking ice cream? Bernie Sanders is out right now in red districts, facing the enemy, trying to convince them that Trump is evil and to get to our side and we want to help you. What is Chuck Schumer doing? Bending over and letting them stick the fucking thing right up his butt so that they can get their resolution.
Well, hang on though. But Chuck Schumer, while the Democrats are really tearing him a new one, he prevented the government from shutting. You want the government to shut down just so you can get back at Trump?
Do I want the government to shut down?
Yeah.
No. But the government should shut down because then they would see that it's not Democrats making everything bad. It's the Republicans trying to pass this disgusting thing. And Democrats are going, hey, you know what? All this shit in here, it doesn't help the American people. And the shutdown would be on the Republicans.
I don't think
it would stop their political momentum. It would hurt their fucking party. So I don't care if the government shuts down.
Let me tell you why I disagree with that. Because Trump is on TV day in and day out, and the Democrats do not have anybody that has access to the microphone as much as Trump does. So Trump's going to be on TV every day saying that the government would not be shut down if it wasn't for liberals just having Trump derangement syndrome. And you're going to have a few sporadic liberals like AOC and folks on maybe The View or some programs trying to defend the Democratic Party. But I think at the end of the day, the nation is going to be blaming it on the Democrats because you're going to have far more Republicans on TV saying the Democrats did it than you're going to have the other way.
They blame everything on the Democrats anyway. What would be the difference? The government is getting shut down anyway, piece by Elon Musk. What would be the difference? We're going to catch the blame. I'm not even a Democrat. I'm an independent. But anybody who isn't MAGA is going to catch the blame anyway because Trump and all his cronies can't take responsibility for anything. It has to be forced upon them. It has to be forced so that everybody sees that they're the ones that are screwing up. Not people who are trying to do their jobs, which is to serve the American people, not line the pockets of the richest of us.
So can we handle another 3.5 years of Trump?
I really don't think it's going to be that long because the Republicans are doing so bad, they're going to get washed in the midterms. Then we're going to have the House and the Senate, and then Trump will just be impeached.
This shit again.
If we don't dissolve into a giant civil war before then.
You sound like a guest I had on earlier. So you believe that Trump, you believe he's going to get fucked up in the midterms, and the Democrats are going to come in there trying to kick him out. And you think they're going to succeed?
The only reason they didn't succeed the last 2 times is because they didn't have control of the House and the Senate.
And we're going to remain
It's
at
a
peace.
2-party game.
And if the Democrats impeach Trump, you think we won't have civil unrest from that?
No, I don't think we do. There's not as many MAGA as everybody seems to think there are.
I think if you try to impeach...
a lot of Republicans, and Republicans aren't happy with what he's doing now. Just go watch any Republican town hall. Any Republican town hall. There's no possible way those are all hired Democratic actors. No possible way. That would be a lot of fucking money.
Yeah, I agree with that. They're not all. Yeah, I don't buy that they're all hired hitmen. I don't believe that either. And that's
if you
insulting.
Go watch any town hall. Those are Republicans, and they are mad.
Yeah, that's insulting.
There are thousands, I think their last rally Bernie did was like 10,000 people in red districts coming to see him, to support him, and talk to him about the anti-oligarchy stuff that he's going on about right now. Republicans are mad. The only people that'll get upset if Trump loses is MAGA, and they're a cult, and no one cares.
All the MAGA's a cult.
Yes.
Oh, come on. You can't say them. That's insulting. All the MAGA.
All right. I'm saying it. Fuck them. Come get me.
All right. I got to go, Shiv. You always. Appreciate you coming through, man. Thank you.
One last thing. Everybody hit the screen for Tim.
Appreciate that, too. Much love. Much love. He's right. Tap the damn screen. Get me on up to about 85,000. We can do that. Real quick in the comments. All of them? Keep drinking that blue vodka. Clown says fisheye paint. What does that say? Fisheye paint works? He didn't like my last caller. Thank you guys that are tapping the screen. Get me on up to about 85. Listen, the budget had to be passed so he can lower the tax bracket to start businesses to invest in America. Here's what I don't understand. Trump wants companies to bring jobs back to America. Now, that's a good thing. That's a good thing to bring jobs back to America. But he is openly against the minimum wage increase, and he's said nothing in terms of doing things to increase salaries. He's not for labor unions at all. So, and he's for less regulation as well. None of that's good for an employee. None of that is. And breaking up the ability for employees to collective bargain, which is what he just did to the TSA, the folks at the airport, the security, they no longer can collective bargain. He just broke that up. So you can assume that the salaries for TSA employees are going to start dropping along with their benefits and other things like job security and all of that. Dinkow! Appreciate that. Thank you. All of that's going to start dropping. So when you're talking about bringing jobs back to Americans, but you're not talking about increasing the pay, I don't know how that works. Because the jobs that you're bringing back to Americans were formerly done by Chinese and Filipino labor and all this shit, Mexican labor, where they paid a fraction of what they do here. So if you bring those jobs back to America, you're going to have to pay American salaries. And that means what they were selling is going to go up substantially. You start making cars and computers and stuff here, the price of a car and a computer is going to be more expensive, which is what the price of computers used to be when they were made in America. They're going to be a lot more expensive. So I don't know if it just don't sound like he's totally thought all of this out. It sounds good on his face to say, I'm going to bring jobs back to America. But when you're pushing against raising wages and things like that, some of that, to me, it just doesn't all fit. Dinkow, good evening. Welcome to the program, Dinkow. You don't need another computer. How do you know? Dinkow, yeah. I don't know where to go with that. How do you know?
Technology improves, so we do need to keep our equipment updated to be able to communicate real time with other computers. I'm not sure why the person.
Let's be clear. When somebody said, when we talk about computers are in every damn thing. It ain't just the traditional computer where you got a monitor and a keyboard. It's in your watch. It's in your phone. It's in your car. Computers are everywhere. So
it's in your appliances at home.
Right.
Like literally my refrigerator and my washing machine, my dishwasher,
everything,
my
right?
stove, all of them got computer chips in them now.
Right. So microprocessors are in everything. So if all of a sudden that stuff is made in America, Americans are going to want the American engineers and stuff are going to want the proper salaries for that stuff. So that stuff is going to go up significantly in price. And maybe you've seen it. I haven't seen any way where he's addressed that. Have you seen him addressing any of that?
No, because the rational thing, like I kind of understand like what he's thinking about, but there are things you got to do prior to this tariff things. Like you got to have
the infrastructure in place when you do the tariffs. So then we can just ramp up production here in America, and then yes, you can produce this stuff, but you can't. There are
you can't do it overnight.
Right. There are no factories that produce little trinkets or gadgets, all of the stuff we buy from China and all of. There are no factories to do it. So just by saying we'll put tariffs on them, so that'll bring companies back. First of all, companies don't like instability. They don't like you don't know whether, what I'm saying, your business is going to be able to succeed or not because regulations is changing, because the economy is unstable. Nobody wants to make big investments in America right now because everything is unstable. With this, he talking about World War III and all that stuff. What company wants to say, yeah, let me go build a factory in America right now, especially because they know if the next president is, whoever, they're going to roll back all of this stuff he's doing with executive orders. And we all know you can reverse all of that shit.
Yeah, with a pen. And that's why I say, like the federal government, I keep saying, once Trump is gone and for liberal replacements, and they're going to hire a lot of them folks back, or they're going to get big checks for getting wrongfully terminated. I mean, you're right, though. All of the stuff he's done with the stroke of a pen, because that's what he did to a lot of Biden's orders, is he wrote them out. Same thing he did when he got in the first time. He got rid of a lot of Obama stuff. They're going to get rid of a lot of things that he did. So, yeah, if you're an investor, you don't want to get into a market that's that volatile and unstable that, like you say, because I use the example. Let's say you run a business, you're an auto manufacturer or something like that, and all of a sudden you hear there's going to be a 25% tariff on the steel and the aluminum you use coming in from Canada. You're like, shit, that's going to be money. But I think if we move some things around, we can kind of work with that. We'll get rid of the office that's in Seattle. Maybe we'll lay a few folks off. Maybe we'll cut back on some spending. And then while you're sitting there hashing that agreement out, your secretary comes running in and saying, well, he just said 50% now. Like, well, shit. Like, damn. So you can't make any type of plan or anything, because, I mean, like, he's talking about 200% on wine and things like that coming out of the EU. How do you adjust for a 200% tariff? I mean, like, what the fuck are you doing with that?
You don't. But if he keeps saying this stuff and rolling stuff back because he's saying, we've reached it. We're gonna give it another 30 days so we can negotiate and stuff. But sooner or later, all of these countries are going to start realizing he's just fucking bluffing.
No. Bluffing or not, I mean, he's got to be ruining relationships. I mean, because even the next guy that becomes president, even if he gets in there, listen, I'm sorry, the last 4 years, I get it. We're going to try. Like, how do I know I can trust you? Or how do I know the next guy that come after you won't be him again? Somebody like him.
Just imagine all the ass the next president is going to have to kiss just to try to get us back to where we were. And I mean, remember when they said
apology
Obama
tour?
Apology
tour, yeah. It'll be a real one.
Because he wanted to try to make amends, and he wanted to try to make amends with all of these Middle East countries that the Republicans have been screwing over for damn decades. And so he did go and say, yeah, we've done some things wrong. We'd like to start, we'd like to start fresh and establish a relationship. He's an apology. He shouldn't be apologizing. Somebody got to be the bigger person. Somebody got to say, look, I know what we did to you guys was wrong, like it's been to every other country. That's why Canada and all of these countries are flipping out, talking about, what is he talking about? We've been screwing them over. America been screwing over everybody in every trade deal in the history of America.
Not to mention,
there is no deal. When people hear trade imbalance, they don't understand what that means. Like, there's always going to be tariffs on certain things. Like in America, obviously, in order for us to keep our car industry going, we have to put tariffs on other cars coming from foreign countries, or we won't be able to sell our cars.
Right.
The same way other countries do it to us. If they make certain things and it props up their government, they're going to protect those specific items. And those are targeted tariffs, which everybody has. In every trade agreement, there's always certain things that people want to protect. But just because we buy more stuff from you than you buy from us, that doesn't mean it's a trade imbalance. We are the biggest fucking consumer economy in the world. We're going to buy more shit from you than you buy from us.
Not to mention we got more citizens in this country. I mean, you expect that makes perfect sense. We got more citizens and we got more money. So we're going to consume more than we're going to export because they don't have the money, they don't have the population.
Right. And we gave all of that stuff up decades ago. We gave up those factories. We let them all go under so we could do what? Those companies could make more money buying, selling, for these foreign companies. That's what they did. They gave up the manufacturing of all of the parts and stuff for all of these cars we make. And so now we buy all of the parts and we put them together here in America. But all of the parts come from somewhere else.
Right. My thing is this. With Trump's hard stance on bringing jobs back to America and the way he's going at other countries, even if we replace Trump with another right-wing president like J.D. Vance, do you feel confident that they would continue the same way he's going?
No,
I don't think so either.
No,
I don't think so
all
either.
of these people, the only people that's like agreeing with Trump is obviously the sycophants, the people like in his thing who are scared to speak up. But all of the reasonable people, all of the economists, all of the people on not right-wing TV, these people are saying what he's doing is crazy. Like, it's not going to do what American people think is going to do just because he been saying the same shit since the 70s about tariffs. And there's a reason we don't use tariffs like we used to.
Like what
we don't
Reagan
base
said.
our whole economy off of it because it drove us into a damn depression.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't seen any. Well, I think Kevin O'Leary had something positive, but most analysts, even on the right side of the aisle, are not big fans of those tariffs because it would be one thing if you said we're gonna stick with a 10% tariff or something like that, but when it's moving all over the damn place, it is hard for anybody to say that's a good idea.
Companies do not like instability.
Yeah.
Ever since I've been dealing in stocks, that's what they always say. Companies want to know what's down the road. They want to know. They want a long-term plan, and in order for them to spend billions of dollars, they want to have a stable economy that they can depend on. Not one that it might change. The parts that I purchase might change by 25% overnight.
Yeah. Well,
I'm just not going to make those purchases.
Yeah. Well, Draco in the comments is saying, "Yeah, Tim, you and Dencal make great predictions like you predicted Kamala Harris to win." So he said, "We don't know what the hell we're talking about here."
Well, look. Every year, we got a 50-50 shot of winning or losing. They lost when Biden got elected. Nobody was telling them, you guys don't know shit because you lost. Like, no, that's what happens in elections. People lose, some people win. But it doesn't mean the validity of our arguments go away because the person we're backing lost. No, it just means that either your guy was a better candidate or he was better at manipulating people and using propaganda, which is what I believe. He used the talking points to draw everybody in. He appealed to what everybody wanted.
I don't think it was just that Trump was a good candidate, and I do agree with you. That is certainly what he did, but I think that there's a combination of things. I don't think folks viewed Kamala Harris as being authentic. I don't think that with her only having 107 days because Biden refused. That, to me, for the Democrats, that was the worst thing, is that Biden refused to step down for so long. Even after that horrible debate on June 27th, he still held on to August. So I really think that for Kamala Harris, at least, that was probably the worst blow she could have taken, is that he held on and gave her only 100. I mean, that's you're going against Trump, somebody that we have known our entire lives. I don't care if you're 60 years old. You've known Trump most of your life. And Kamala Harris, which was a virtual unknown candidate, you got 107 days to compete against this guy that everybody knows. So I think Biden really handicapped her by doing that.
Right. She had multiple headwinds that prevented her from winning. We could talk about, all of them. We could talk about, but a lot of those things were put out in the universe through right-wing media. That she's mushy mouth, she doesn't know how to talk, her laugh, all of that kind of stuff. That stuff all was part of the propaganda that was used against her. When she had some legit things like being a woman, like being a woman of color. Those are real things that, that took off parts of society who just didn't want to deal with that or didn't believe that she, a woman.
So if you say being a woman of color hurt her, would you suggest that whoever the Democrats pick for 2028 going forward should not be a woman of color?
No, I won't rule out anybody. And I think this conversation we having right now is so premature that they're saying, "Oh, you guys don't have a leader. You guys don't have a leader." If you pick somebody 2 months into into an election, they're going to be destroyed in 2 years, in 2 years or 4 years. It's too close. It's too long away from it to actually,
I'll agree with that, because if you go back 4 years from today, so you're talking about in the middle of March 2021, right after Trump had lost, the Republicans didn't have a leader either. He was still reeling in the effects of January 6th. People were not big fans of him. Like I brought up yesterday, QAnon was talking about, Nancy Pelosi was going to be arrested by the military. I mean, they were in disarray. Just like they're saying the Democrats are in disarray right now. 4 years ago, the Republican Party was talking about Trump was going to be installed as the 17th president of the corporation in August. All kinds of crazy shit. So, I mean, you're right. It takes time to come up with a leader, and it is very early.
And I would say, we probably, thinking about past elections, we might not even know who the person is that's going to, that was like Obama when he got in there. 4 years before Obama got in, nobody hadn't heard his name or nothing. He was he had a first-time senator, so we might not even know who that person is going to be. So I'm not tripping about that right now, and I'm not in no hurry to pick somebody or say Hakeem Jeffries or none of those people right now. The only job they should be having right now, which I don't agree with Schumer, is they should be trying to stop these people at every corner.
So you also agree that Schumer should have tried to help shut down the government under Trump?
Yes, I think he should have used it as a negotiating tactic and said, "Look, we'll pass it, but you got to take," just like they do to us every time it's time to pass a budget. You need to take this out. You need to get rid of that. You know what I'm saying?
I'm going to tell you something. They got Elon on their team. They got Bezos on their team. They got Zuckerberg on their team. It wouldn't surprise me if somebody like Schumer got a phone call and was told, next time you run, you might need a little bit extra money, right? It would not surprise me if some of these folks, because Elon has made it clear he's willing to use his money to influence politicians. He's made that clear, and they got an infinite amount of money. So
I don't know. That's like impinging on the man's character totally. He already got the president of the United States saying you ain't a Jew. If he's capitulating like that, I don't know that he will ever rose to the level that he's at in government. Now, he said a couple things about the reason why he didn't want to do it is because that would have gave Trump the ability to pick and choose parts of the government that he wanted to destroy while it was down. He would have said, "Hey, if the Democrats shut it down, that must mean it's not," you know what I'm saying? He would have used it psychologically.
Well, I will also tell you this, in addition to the fact that Elon Musk has the power to pay people, I think also MAGA has the power to persuade people. In other words, if Schumer is responsible or viewed as, because he wouldn't be the only one doing it, but if he's viewed as a leader of why the government shut down, the death threats and all of that stuff has an effect too. Some of them folks just don't want to deal with it. I mean, that if Trump gets on TV every day criticizing you for, hurting the American agenda. You're one of the liberals that are trying to destroy America. You're the reason the government shut down. You're the reason federal people, federal folks who get federal entitlements are not getting their money. It's all Schumer's fault. It kind of reminds me of the old 1979's movie, the Warriors did it, and all of a sudden they chasing them all over New York. That's what would happen, in my opinion.
Right. Well, I don't know. They had done some recent polling, and it showed that about 60% of the people believe if the government would have shut down, this, today was the last day. If it would have shut down, that 60% of the people believe it was due to the Republicans.
I would love to see who put that poll out.
Yeah, I can look it up.
I will tell you though, with Trump having the pulpit, with Trump on TV doing interviews every single day, he gonna be yelling the Warriors did it every time they put it. I mean, he gonna be constantly targeting Schumer. I have a hard time to see. I would have to see where that poll came from, because I think Trump would easily convince a hell of a lot of Americans that Schumer is the reason the government shut down, because he is on TV every day. That man is willing to talk 3-4 hours. He talk more than I do on TV. Like, that motherfucker get on TV. I mean, and that's why I keep saying I give him credit. I know a lot of my liberals don't like it, but I do give a man that age that's willing to sit there and take questions from reporters damn near every day. I mean,
even if he's lying,
even if he is the hardest working man in show business. That man will get on.
I'll give him that. Yeah, I'll give him that. Yeah, he's willing to do what most people with his means and his resources would be willing to do.
He probably already
tell the same lies over and over and over and over again and make stuff up on the fly. Like he just said, Canada. Now all of this stuff it was about fentanyl. Then it was about immigration. Now he's saying 50%, so they can become a part of America. No, nobody voted for that. Nobody voted for that.
I would dare say Trump has already, in his first 6-7 weeks in office, has already done the equivalent of about a year of Biden television appearances. In that 6-7 weeks, he's probably been on TV more in the first 6 or 7 weeks than any 1 year of the Biden presidency. That's how much he talks.
Don't compare him to Biden, because Biden was doing stuff the way. Like, presidents shouldn't be on TV every day.
Why not?
Because we don't need to know what he's thinking about at every moment, every day. What we need him to do is look at problems, consult with experts in those fields, and come to agreements that benefit us all. Not for him to wake up and be like, I just don't like Canada no more.
He's doing that too. He may not be doing it the way you or I like it, but he's working with world leaders. I mean, you see him with Zelensky. You know he's talking to Putin. I mean, he's talking to world leaders. I mean,
he's not working with them. What you mean working with them? Just because he sit in the room with them don't mean he's working with them.
Shit, they're going back and forth with tariffs. I mean, he ain't working with them in the way we would like, but he is completely engaged. He ain't just on the golf course. He's busy. We just don't like what he's doing.
Look, he's sitting up there with these people, and we see it now because he's showing it. He's sitting there lying in front of these world leaders to their face.
I'm not saying I like what he's doing, Cal. I'm just simply saying he is doing stuff. He may be pulling the wrong levers. The whole boat may sink, but he is in the engine room pulling all kinds of levers.
Well, I don't look at that as a favorable a trait of a president. Is I don't care what the hell he's saying. At least he's just saying shit. I don't get that as being something to be commended for, because you getting outside, you saying different shit every day.
Well, the reason I'm giving him credit, because okay, he does say a lot of things that are not true, but he also does give you plenty of transparency on what direction he's headed in. The tariffs, he wants Greenland, I mean, he's telling you what he intends to do.
Yeah, but the way you make this stuff sound, man, is like he tells us so much shit that whichever direction he goes, he can always say, "Remember, I told you." He can take both positions in the story, and then you can go down the line a month from now when he does something, you'll be like, "He did tell us." Well, no, he told us he was going to do the opposite last month too. But you're not giving him credit for that. You're just giving him credit because you're saying he told us.
I'm just going to say this. I believe. Okay, I'm not denying the line, and I see Will says I'm convinced Trump has an NIL deal. I'm not denying that he lies, but I am saying I do like the idea of having politicians talk to the people as much as possible. Not to mention you can catch them in the lies too, but talk to the people.
But I would like for those conversations to be intelligent, to be reasoned, to have information, to have documentation. Yes, of course you want to hear as much as possible from the people that are representing you. But if you just coming out there just to say or just to respond to questions and just talk, just give a toss-up answer, then no, I don't want it. Look, he got over 2 million government employees shaking in their boots, terrified. Yeah. A lot of these people are about to lose their homes and their cars and their families, and I don't know. I feel sorry for those folks. Yeah, I do feel sorry for them folks because they said mental illness and depression is growing amongst the ranks of federal employees because, their lives are just really uncertain. I mean, you just don't know. I got a cousin and she barely, I was talking to her in the beginning when this stuff was happening. She works at the IRS in Michigan. And I mean, she stressed the fuck out. She was telling me before, they having these meetings every damn day. They talking to the unions. Don't nobody know what's going on. People are just disappearing from the job, getting marched out the door. And she over there stressed the hell out.
That sounds like the Jews in the neighborhood during the 1930s. Well, shit, my neighbors is gone now. And
right, they just be missing at night. Somebody came.
Yeah, they just disappearing.
But one more thing before I go, I just wanted to say, when we were saying stuff we believe that Trump is he's being authoritarian or being fascist, he's literally doing that stuff right now. When he comes on TV and he says that protests against Tesla are illegal, and that he wants to start arresting those people that is the hallmark of our society is our right to protest, our right to gather and utilize.
I'm not going to deny that Trump is, in my opinion, he's using fear to get people to comply. I mean, because obviously you're right. You're supposed to take people to the courts. There are laws. And if it's illegal, there's a process. He is using fear to get people to comply. People know that if you go against Trump, bad things may happen to you that have nothing to do with the legal process. He is using fear. People are scared of him. That's why
but I wouldn't necessarily as fear if he's actually doing he actually is locking up people who were protesting. That's no
Congress.
Longer
when I say fear, I mean Congress. Congress ain't saying shit because they scared. That's fear. Getting primary, getting threatened, getting hurt.
Congress can't really say nothing right now because it's got to go through the courts.
No, if he's doing things things that are clearly unconstitutional, like getting rid of birthright citizenship and things like that, when you're on Meet the Press or you're on This Week with George Stephanopoulos or CBS Sunday Morning, somebody asks you, how do you feel about the president doing something that's clearly unconstitutional and you are afraid to answer? Yeah, you're seeing that.
Right. But I was just saying that we going a step past fear when he's actually doing it. It's not that he's just saying it no more.
Yeah.
When we was like, he's a fascist. He's going to be doing some horrible stuff. And they was like, you guys are fear-mongering. He's not doing none of that stuff. Now he's doing it, and you don't hear none of them saying nothing.
Yeah. And that's also why I don't think you're going to get any whistleblowers out of the federal government. I mean, they'll fire people for anything. So let's say, for instance, you work for the FAA as a federal employee, and you know for certain the numbers show that you don't have enough employees to maintain air safety. Are you going to speak up knowing that there is no whistleblower protections for you on the Trump administration? Are you going to say anything? I mean, you're going to get fired immediately if you do that. And you're hoping that you losing your job is the only thing you lose.
Right. Well, it's not. Do they say anything? He's removed the people that you would normally go to report it. He got rid of the whole office where you're supposed to forward,
the IGs, yeah. And that's what I'm saying is that, that's what I'm talking about fear, is that people are going to be scared to say anything because there's a real good chance that retaliation is going to happen, whether it's your job, your safety, something else. I mean, like we mentioned the law firms that were dealing with the Hillary Clinton areas, going at the law firms. I mean, nobody wants to touch them because they're going to do something. And he's already, by way of the courts, in immunity and all the stuff they let him get away with, people are like, well, shit, if he do something to me, I might not be able to stop him. I mean, the courts ain't going to help me out.
Hey, have you had a conversation yet about what he's doing to Amy Coney Barrett, her sister?
No, but I know she all of a sudden became a DEI once she didn't agree with him. What is he doing to her sister now? Is that the one with bomb threats?
Yeah.
I've heard about it. Yeah.
A Supreme Court justice, because she don't agree with her.
Yeah. And that's somebody he personally appointed. He literally is like the old Janet Jackson song, "What Have You Done For Me Lately?" I don't care how much you've been backing him, like Liz Cheney, for instance. Liz Cheney backed him like 95, 96% of his policies. Once she didn't like January 6th.
If it ain't 100, it ain't enough.
Yeah. I think that was a song from breakdancing. 99 and a half won't do. All right, didn't count. Appreciate it. All right. 99 and a half won't do. Gotta have all of your love. All right, look at the comments. Yeah, he is like that. I don't give a damn what you've done for me yesterday. What are you gonna do right now? Didn't count. Appreciate it. Thank you very much for the support. Same people confidently gloating and telling people they lost weren't saying this 4 years ago. That is true. Don't get all big now like nothing ever happened. That is true. Well, y'all need to get over it. Trump won. He's your president. He got a mandate. He won all 7 swing states. All of that qualifies with Biden. Biden had won all 7 states. And the same thing, you need to get over it. Biden won. No, he cheated. He didn't win. Trump's going to get reinstated. Nancy Pelosi is going to get arrested. Trump's controlling the military. I mean, they weren't just taking it either. Good point, Will. I'm convinced that Trump has an NIL deal. That's hilarious. Anyhow, folks, I got to do what I got to do. Thank you for the 85,000. I didn't get up to 100,000, but I do appreciate you folks that did tap the screen. Looking in the comments, the real stats are out. What are the stats there, Gwendolyn? I'd like to know. We were saying Trump won in 2020. Yeah, we definitely were saying Trump won in 2020. Trump has still said he won in 2020. Like I said, right now, he got control of the House, the Senate, presidency, and the Supreme Court. Prove your case. Prove that you won the 2020 election. Just like I keep bringing up the Haitian migrants and all this stuff. And when he said Obama wiretapped his office, prove some of that stuff. Just like right now, all of the waste, fraud, and abuse you finding. Prove it. Prove, look, I'm not going to throw Elon Musk under the bus. If Elon Musk is saving the country billions of dollars, he's doing a good thing. But prove it. Prove it. I'm not going to just buy it because you said it. And certainly with Elon Musk, so many things he said has turned out to be false. So many things he said. I mean, he's had to take information down off his website because the New York Times and some of these editorialists have been proven this stuff is not true, dude. You lying. So if it turns out to be true, you gotta see. I'll give Trump credit on certain things. You see how my liberal viewers are calling me a fluffer and all that. And I'll give him credit. If I think he does something that's good, I'll give him credit. But I'm not just gonna buy it because he said it. And that's where the difference between me and MAGA. With MAGA, if Elon Musk says he found out they're sending, $10 billion to buy condoms for that, they just believe it. You don't need to see any evidence. Elon Musk said it. It must be true. I don't buy that because he has been wrong. So we'll see what happens. But until he shows evidence, and that's what I said the same thing with Trump, the Haitian migrants and all this stuff, show some evidence. The Trump supporters don't need evidence from Trump. If he says it, that's good enough. I'm not in that camp. And right now, it does not look like he's going to prove a lot of the things he said. Now, as I pointed out earlier, Elon Musk is now required to go before a judge and show receipts for all of the waste, fraud, and abuse he's finding. My guess is he ain't going to be able to show that stuff. I know for a fact, I feel confident that the folks he has fired claiming it was done for a lack of performance, that ain't based on reality. You firing so many people so quick, there's no way you evaluated all their performances. There's just no way you've done that. All of these people getting letters saying that they were fired for lack of performance, there's no way you did any type of evaluation on all these people. So, yeah, I know that ain't true. He lost 60 cases. What else is there to prove? Well, they believe the judges were all liberals and in the tank for Biden. You're talking about the 60 court cases Trump lost trying to prove he won the 2020 election. For me, after watching Dinesh D'Souza, 2000 Mules about 6 times, we did a bunch of shows on 2000 Mules when that was out. For me personally, the whole way Trump looked into the 2020 election, the things he said about it, it just looked suspect. Examples would be, in the state of North Carolina, Biden was winning North Carolina right up to about a month, I think, maybe a couple weeks even, before the Trump won North Carolina, but Biden was leading in that state right up to the election. Trump was claiming there was widespread fraud in North Carolina. The minute he won North Carolina and got their electoral college votes, you never heard about it again. Which means that based on what he said, if you're telling me this state has widespread fraud and you won this state, how do we know you didn't win by fraud? To me, Trump came across as somebody who was not interested in proving having a free and fair election. He looked like he just wanted to win. I don't care if it's fraud as long as it go my way. To me, that's what I saw in Trump. In fact, you look at, and Dinesh D'Souza follow through with that. You look at like where they were looking for fraud. Michigan, Detroit, Arizona, Phoenix, Georgia, Atlanta, Wisconsin, Milwaukee. You're only going in areas to look for fraud where you're likely not to win anyway. What's going on in Eau Claire, Wisconsin? What's going on in Escanaba, Michigan, the Upper Peninsula, Michigan, the red areas? Are you looking for fraud up there? No, we're only looking in Democratic areas. So if you do find fraud, it's guaranteed to be Democrat because you're just assuming all the Republicans are honest. The whole way that whole investigation of the 2020 election was done, it just came across as biased and shady, in my opinion. Now, if what Trump should have did, I think may have helped him out a little bit more. Find me as much fraud as you can find in all 50 states, and I'm going to go ahead and present that to the Supreme Court and tell them, look at all the fraud, because there's going to be fraud in every election. Every election is going to have at least a little bit in it. 350 million people, maybe half of that voting. You're going to have a little bit in every election. Find me as much fraud as you can in all 50 states. I'm going to present that to the Supreme Court and tell them, we found enough fraud. I think we should have a do-over. There's just no way we can call this with all this fraud. Might work, might not. But it does look more like you're trying to have a fair election. What Trump did looks like you're just trying to win. Another example, Pennsylvania. They made changes to how you could vote, particularly mail-in votes. And they claimed it was due to the pandemic. Made it a little bit easier to vote because of the pandemic and the social distancing that was required. Now, Texas, and I think another Republican state, if I'm correct, but I know Texas for certain, sued Pennsylvania, stating that their election change went against the state's constitution. They sued Pennsylvania for their election change. When they did that, the governor of Montana, who happened to be a liberal, appeared on George Stephanopoulos this week with George Stephanopoulos, one of the Sunday shows, and stated, We made the same change that Pennsylvania made here in Montana. But Trump won here, so they're not suing us. But we made the exact same change. This is what I'm talking about. You're not looking for a free and fair election. You're just looking to win. The change was illegal when Pennsylvania made it because you lost Pennsylvania. But it's okay. You're okay with it when in Montana because you won Montana. So he just doesn't have standing with it. And then, of course, as Will pointed out, losing 60 court cases, not only blaming the judges, which is utter bullshit, when you have personally appointed some of the judges, and all of a sudden now you're claiming that they're rhinos and they're part of the deep state and all. Did you sit down and interview this motherfucker? Didn't you look at some of their resumes before you gave them this job? Now all of a sudden they're part of the deep state because they ruled against you. That's the first thing when you're doing something like that. But then you go to the courts and you're literally walking in with a pot of spaghetti noodles and throwing it to the wall and trying to see what sticks. The Dominion voting machines are switching votes. Dead people are voting and just coming up with all kinds of stuff. And then can you show us proof of this? You have none. So that's why I don't believe to this day you'll never see them prove the 2020 election was stolen. You may see them come up with some evidence that maybe something here didn't go right or something there didn't look right, but actual definitive proof that Trump won, you'll never get that. But because there's already enough proof that they lied about a bunch of stuff too. The fake electors, obviously the Dominion voting machines where Fox News had to pay $750 million. Rudolph Giuliani, I did a video on him with the whole Shea Moss and Ruby Freeman passing around USB drives like vials of crack. Remember he said that? I did a video on that one. I don't know what I just hit here. I did a video on that one. What the fuck is going on with this TikTok? Okay. Oh, it's telling me to drag a piece. Hang on a second. Something's happening on TikTok. But I did a video on the whole Rudolph Giuliani and Shea Moss and Ruby Freeman case. Because he lost like 80, was it 80-something million? Whatever he lost because he lied about those two polling ladies. Said that they were trying to cheat down in the Georgia area. They were polling volunteers, passing around USB, and they sued them because they were getting death threats. They had to move and all kinds of shit. Now, they won a bunch of money from him, and I did a video on it because he satisfied that case. And I remember he was saying he was bankrupt. He was trying to avoid paying those chicks. About 3 weeks ago, that case is now listed as satisfied. So I don't know how much money he probably didn't pay him in full, but he lost like 80 or 90 million or something to them. Them chicks are rich. Ruby Freeman and Shea Moss, them two black women, they are rich. Let's say he only gave them 10 million apiece, which would be far less than what he was ordered to pay him. I don't know what he settled out of court with their lawyers for, but they got millions off of Giuliani. They officially got the money. He was trying not to pay him. He was trying to hide his baseball card collection and his luxury cars, his condos. He was trying to hide it, but he has officially paid them. So them two chicks got a lot of money off of him. But I'm just simply saying using them, using Dominion, all this stuff. Trump lied about enough of the 2020 election that I don't think he'll ever be able to prove that he won because there's too many things he would have to answer for. It's going to be hard for you to have credibility when we can prove that you lied on a bunch of stuff too. So I don't think MAGA needs proof. If you support Trump, once he said the election was stolen from him, that's all you needed to hear. Just like what Elon Musk is talking about finding waste, fraud, and abuse. You don't need proof. Once they tell you they've done it, that's kind of good enough. So I doubt if you'll see the proof, but hey, it would make for a good story. Anyhow, folks, I do appreciate you tuning in. As always, this your boy Tim, the handsome liberal. Follow the program. Certainly drop me a subscription if you're on YouTube. Follow if you're on Instagram. We are all about free speech. We don't block, ban, or censor. We're MAGA friendly to the very end. I'll catch you tomorrow. And on YouTube, real quick, most corrupt country is a huge stretch. They certainly had corruption issues, but they've made huge strides to stop that. Why is it not Why is it not democratic? And why did you mean? I don't know what you're talking to someone else. We're not the most corrupt country. I definitely disagree with that. America's not the most corrupt country, but I do believe we are heading. We're getting worse in terms of corruption. But yeah, there's way more corrupt countries. I mean, some of them countries in Africa are really bad. So no, we're certainly nowhere near the most corrupt. But I do believe we're getting more corrupt. To me, what did Trump accuse Biden of? Weaponizing the DOJ. That's corrupt. We can talk about whether Biden did it or not, but I can tell you this. Whether it doesn't matter if you think Biden weaponized the DOJ or not, Trump is doing it too. Trump is definitely doing it now. So that's corruption. When you start having leaders using the courts to go after enemies, Trump is definitely doing it. So we're not the most corrupt country on earth, but we certainly are getting more corrupt. Nevertheless, let me get my ass out of here. I'll catch you guys tomorrow. It's your boy Tim, the handsome liberal. Have a good night.